Well, hello, Miss Ma'am. How are you?
I'm lovely. How are you?
I am doing just swimmingly.
You getting ready for the big day tomorrow?
Yes, I can't wait to see what Harpootlian pulls out of his pocket. You know I love that man. I can't help it.
I know you do. I know you do.
I know I'm not supposed to because I'm, pretty much I'm like reasonably sure now that Alec is guilty, but like and by that I shouldn't by rights, I shouldn't, I guess, like Harpootlian. But man, that little old curmudgeon just, I don't know. I can identify with his cold black heart because I got one too.
I just think he's adorable. I
I
can't
do
help it. I just
too.
think he's adorable. I was watching the one of the documentaries, and they're showing a part of um when he was when they were before the trial, and when he had just been charged or whatever, and they're asking him, "Is your client guilty?" No. Did your client murder his son and his wife? No. It's just it was the way it was just like there was no I don't know. He just sounded a little spacey like no. Mm-mm.
There was another one where he's trying to get through the media to the courthouse, and he says, I'm trying to get to the fucking court. And I couldn't help it.
Look, that little fella's got some spice in him. He
I
does.
love him.
I do too.
Love him. All right, let me get us to where we need to be.
Hello, chat, everybody.
Hold on. Let me just get us where we're supposed to be at, and then I can do all the greeting and stuff. I could have done this a lot like earlier and been, somewhat professional and organized, but come on.
Well, we
You
wing
know
it.
that
We
ain't
wing it
how
around
I
here.
you know that ain't how I roll. And how I do. But before, cement shoes. Thank you. That was so sweet of you. Post is like Daryl Brooks with the brains. With a brain. I can't even read. Hey, Brittany. Hey, AJ. Hey, Laura. Hey, Mrs. O. Ellie. Everybody coming in. Vanessa, Jane Doe, S. Hockett, all the shirts. Crime Sleuth, Jesse Lee, Mrs. O. Allie. Everybody. Good to see you. Cement shoes. I know I'm missing people. Crystal, hi, y'all. It's so good to see everybody. Before we get started, though, now y'all know we got to hear a word from our sponsor. So let me just go ahead and play that for y'all.
And Kai, when you're on Jen Lou's channel, what do you do with the like button?
Smash, smash, smash! Yeah.
Yeah. That's my
I'm so
favorite
done
part.
with you. I'm done with you.
Why? You can't quit me. Don't play, TT. Come on now. You can't quit me. I just like it when he goes, yeah. It's my favorite part.
I tried to watch that documentary and I couldn't get into it. Did you watch it?
I did.
I didn't care for it. I mean,
I can't quite. Something is not right in that one.
yeah.
But I cannot quite that's another one I can't quite put my finger on. I think there's definitely more to the story. Now, my son swears that there is a clip on the internet, and it exists somewhere, where Kai says something to the effect of, basically he was hustling this gentleman. It's different terms than that, but he was hustling this guy, and he had regrets, and he was worried that he was going to tell, and that's what caused him to do what he did.
Oh, interesting.
Now I know, and there is something out there so in the interrogation, he does say, and it's not on Netflix, but he does say something like, I'm well known. I don't have to sleep with guys like him. Have you seen him? I mean, even if I was gay, which I'm not, I wouldn't, just sort of like that. And I think there's something, a little bit reminds me of Eileen Warnos's first victim. I think that, Kai came to the United States when he was 18 illegally. And I think he was homeless, and I think he was on the street. Like, well, that's what a homeless is. And I think on the streets he had to hustle. And I think there might have been one or two times, maybe more, but for one time at least, that he got taken advantage of and probably assaulted. And I think that something happened with this guy, and it just triggered him, and he snapped. He just flipped out.
That's sad.
It is sad. It is sad. So, I'm pretty sure once he gets out, he'll be deported. But, it's a sad story. I mean, sad for the victim, and it's sad for Kai.
It is.
I'm talking about Kai, the hatchet-wielding hitchhiker, Jesse. That Netflix has a documentary on him. It's pretty interesting. So it goes through, like, it mainly talks about Kai and his downfall. It doesn't really go a lot into the murder, but it is covered. It's just not as in depth. So, yeah. All right. Well, are you ready to get into this?
Let's get into Alex's foolishness.
Now his foolishness. Bless it. Just out here lying to everybody. Lying to lie for no damn ass reason. I mean, look, I think the only person he didn't lie to was Buster, and that's only because Buster could smell the lies on him. Or Bubba. Buster. Bubba. Buster is a dog's name to me. Poor Bubba. He's the Bubba and Grady and Cash and Maggie the dog, and all the other dogs in that kennel. They're the real MVPs. If they could tell what happened, we'd know. You know what I mean?
I know. I think about stuff like that. You talking about last night about how you just think of all these different things. I think about stuff like that. If those dogs, they know exactly what happened that night.
They do. And ain't nobody interviewed him. And every time when we were over at Decipher Podcasts live earlier, you guys, they were replaying the body cam, and they were, the nicknames: Paul, Ro, Mags, Bus, all of that. It reminded me of the Key and Peele. Hi, Shmita. The substitute teacher skit that they do. Ron. Balaki for Blake.
The one cringiest of all to me is the Mags. I can't with Mags. That just, every time he says Mags, it's like, ew. Like, I don't know, something about that just rubs me wrong.
Paul rubs me wrong. Bus also. They all rub me wrong. Like, in the South, it's typical to call, like, if you've got sons and daughters, right? Especially if the sons are first. The oldest brother, not all the brothers get named this, just the oldest, is Bubba or Bubs.
Right.
Bubs is what I use. But I mean, we do say some shit down here, but we don't be just, poop. We don't just bust.
But with Buster, he's nicknaming the nickname.
The nickname. And I don't get it. Unless he was going to, like I say, like my son is Bubs, because it's short for Bubba. But because I just always thought Bubs was cuter than Bubba. So that's his nickname. And when I'm really like sad or whatever, he'll say, "Don't worry, Mom, Bubs is here." And that's just between me and all 152 of y'all's asses. Don't ever tell him I told y'all that. But yeah, he's a good boy. He's a good kid. All right. So let's get this show on the road and hear the rest of this foolishness. Here we go.
Goes down this list. That's why we're seeing those things.
I couldn't get it on a second. So
I think he takes really washed up and change clothes. That's what I think on that one. Let's see what happens. All right, we
Me
good?
too, Scott.
Mm-hmm.
The eyewitness is you.
What made you come out here tonight?
I went to my mom's a late stage Alzheimer's patient. My dad's in the hospital. My mom gets anxious when she does. I went to check on them and Maggie. Maggie's a dog lover, and she fools with the dogs. And I
Hold
knew
on,
she'd
Jen.
gone
Stop
to
that
the
just a
kennel.
second. Just
I
one.
was
I'm
at-
sorry. I'm sorry to interrupt you
Ma'am?
already. I'm sorry to interrupt you already, but I want to
You
ask
are
you:
fine.
do you notice how he keeps cutting his eyes? To me, it's like it's for approval. Like, is he buying what I'm selling him? You know? Have you noticed that?
Correct. Yes. What he likes to do is sneak a peek, or as we say in the South, cut his eyes over to the officer to see, are you buying what the fuck I just said? Do I need to
Right.
change up a little bit? No, you buying it. All right.
Right. Yeah.
And there's Danny in the back there, leaned in and listening. Jeez, Lou. With his shirt. I never realized how far down his shirt's unbuttoned. What kind of party you think you at, Danny? Can assure you this ain't that, sir.
Yeah, ain't nobody catching a break around you. Ain't nobody
No.
catching a break.
Hell no.
I left the house and went to my mom.
Look at here. Nerve to come in a long sleeve shirt in June in the South in the summer. Fuck you. I don't care. That's not air conditioning. I'm buttoning down to the middle button. Okay. Don't even have the decency to wear an undershirt. Ugh.
Just a little while. I told her when I left, texted her.
Danny's
response.
choking in the back. Is anybody going to
Um,
offer him some water? No? Okay.
When I got back to the house was obviously nobody was in there. So I figured they're still up here fooling around. Paul was gonna be getting set up to plant. Our sunflower seeds got sprayed and died, and he was refiguring to plant the sunflower seeds. So I came back up here and I drove up and saw and called.
God, all this, everybody in that vehicle is sniffling and snorting and snotting.
Had Maggie and Paul been arguing over anything?
No,
What was their relationship like?
wonderful,
Wonderful. How about yours and Maggie's?
wonderful. I mean, I'm sure we had little things here and there, but we had a wonderful marriage, wonderful relationship,
Is that
And
why
yours and
she was
Paul's
spending her
relationship?
nights at the
as
beach
good
house
as it could be.
as far away from you as she could get? I'm just asking.
How old is Paul?
Let me do the math real quick.
22.
Okay.
Okay.
You know his date of birth?
I do. April 11th, 96 is his brother's. April 14th, 99 is Paul's.
So let me
How about-
say this
what's
right
Maggie's
off
full
the
name?
bat.
Margaret.
So the question that he asked right before that was about the relationships between pretty much, the three of them, Paul, Maggie, and Alec, right? And of course he says it was wonderful. Then he realizes, you can't, nobody's relationship is perfect. So he has to adjust real quick and be more realistic about it. So kudos to you for that, Alec. But when he's asked about the date of birth, there's no reason for him to give busters. I personally feel like he does that because he's like, let me just show you what a number one dad I am. I'm going to list off everybody's birthday because I stumbled around about an hour ago on people's birthday. I had to run through the catalog in my brain. Idiot.
Well, you got a point. I didn't think about that, but you could be right.
There's something, you know what? If he would stop all that snarfing, I could handle it better. It's the snarfing is what really gets on my nerves. But you got Kleenex there. The only reason you don't want to blow your nose is because something is up that nose you ain't one to lose. So take your ass to the bathroom and drain like you know you should.
Lord,
Brand
Alec,
cheddar.
You know,
you ain't getting a break over here, buddy.
Murdoch.
Her birthday?
September 1968.
Ooh, Maggie was a Virgo.
Have y'all been having any problems out here? Trespassers,
None
people
that,
breaking in?
none that I know of. The only thing that what comes to my mind is my son Paul was in a boat wreck a
Here
couple
we
years
go.
ago.
Right
And
there. That's
there's
what
been
Right there.
what bothers me.
You know, he was charged with being arrested.
Yeah.
Why where did that even come from?
Go
We're
ahead,
talking
TT.
about your dead son and your dead wife, but the first thing you find in your mind, in your memory, is the boat wreck. That is so sus to me.
Right.
Like,
It's troubling. It feels like I can't, I don't know how to say this other than how I said it last night. I think he's telling the truth about the boat wreck being the catalyst for this crime. Now, I don't think he is being honest about the way that he wants it perceived, right? Because he wants it like it's an act of revenge. But because he brings it up so many times, it's clearly very important to him.
oh yes. Oh,
Clearly.
yes. Oh my God. Is that, do you see chat?
No,
Jen?
what am I saying? What am I saying? What should I be saying? Help me
Crime
out.
sleuthing? I don't even have words for that.
What happened? Okay, let me scroll up. Let me look.
Oh my gosh.
Why can't I find it? Oh my God, crime sleuthing. I'm so sorry. Well,
Oh,
I'm sorry, babe.
so sorry.
You're in our prayers, babe. You're in
Yes,
our prayers.
ma'am.
If there's anything you need, email me. We'll get through it. Oh my gosh.
Horrible.
Awful. How's wrong with this world?
For being the driver. There's been a lot of negative publicity about that, and there's been a lot of people online.
Okay, let me stop you right there. You're already lying. The truth is not negative publicity, asshole. It's just the truth. Okay? They didn't get negative. That's not true. It wasn't negative publicity. What it was the truth that Paul did get special treatment. He was never handcuffed. He was never questioned at the scene. The only reason his blood was the only reason why we know what his blood alcohol was is because he was acting a whole donkey's ass at the hospital. And so they thought he was on something else. So they drew his blood. You know, come on. He didn't even have to wear an orange suit. He didn't even have to wear them nasty ass shoes, you know, them slip on things. Those fucked off slip on slide thing. Ugh.
Really bad stuff. But
Stop.
when Paul's out and about, I mean, people routinely, I don't think I know the full story, because I don't think they give it to me. But I mean, he's been punched and hit and just attacked a lot. So, you know, but I mean, nothing like this.
Yeah.
Punched and hit sounds like assault.
This is a mistake, Your Honor.
He's still looking to see if
I
he's
think
he's
there's
still looking to
blood
see
out
if he's
there. There
buying
might have
it.
been 2 guns.
Yeah.
I don't know. You just gonna have to trust me on that one. You gotta cut that out.
I shouldn't have said whack, but sorry.
Yeah, what are you gonna do? All right,
too
Chase,
late.
what do you got?
Come on, Chase.
There's some strange
on, baby
head movement
Chase.
here. There's shaking and nodding mixed together, which you do not see in this culture. And I think this is confused on his part of which behavior to display. And you can confirm this confusion by the fact that he starts doing what I call intent checking. He's glancing repeatedly at the detective here in this instance.
Bam!
to
See, I hadn't
determine
even
what kind
watched
of
this.
intent
I
the
knew it.
detective has and the angle
You
that he's
know your
taking with some of these
your
questions.
behavior panel, ma'am. I
And
got
when
to
he
give
offers
it to
this,
you.
the brother's birthday, this is a miniature resume statement here, and he's offering the details that suggest that he's a caring and good
Boom.
father. See, I know both of their birthdays, and
What
I think
I
he's
said.
doing that. mostly unconsciously. And when there's a question about the trespassers, the response to the question is an insertion of ambiguity into the case. Think about it. If I asked you if strangers come into your house often, your answer would be no, probably not. So I would say this is maybe going on Mark's scale, maybe a dark, medium light, or a weight flag. Did you say heavy flag earlier?
No, it was the sound of it, but I like the weight
yeah.
of it.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
I
this
like
is
that.
maybe a volume 9 or a 8.5 on the 10 scale flag. And I don't know how big this property is, which is one of the reasons here. We can call this maybe a medium flag here. There's an inability to identify a perpetrator. There is no concern to find out who did this at all. He wants to keep the net cast as wide as possible for
See,
what might have
that's
happened.
what. Stop it
And
just
he
a
still
second.
won't
I
say
am.
murder. Skip
That
Yes,
has
ma'am.
been
Got
that
it.
has been a huge problem for me too, because he never presses them about. We've seen genuine people that were not guilty just be frantic and just persistent. Are you looking for? It's not me. Are you fucking looking for who did this? And he's
Yes.
not doing any of that. He's not asking any questions. He's not. It's all about surrounding him, the boat wreck, and
look how Steve Gonçalves was about
Right.
Gonçalves was about keeping this Kaylee and everybody really, but everybody the case in the media and on people's minds until it was solved.
Right.
And
Right.
again, Karen, this is an excellent point here. If Alec ever thought that it was connected in some way to the boat case, mainly like I don't think I actually believe him when he says the kids didn't do it,
Right.
or he didn't think the kids were part of this. I do think he's talking about like crazies, but if that were your thought, why would you not be worried about Buster?
Right. Exactly.
Or the
Because-
rest of your family, to be
Right.
quite frank.
Because
he
in
wasn't
my
worried
mind
about
it would
anybody.
be, yeah, because in my mind it would be, who's next? Oh my God, who's next?
Exactly. And he was like, even with when some of his law partners were on the stand and they were talking about it, they were worried for themselves. Alec wasn't worried for shit.
Yeah.
Which that is a red flag. And the problem is, I think, had SLED done their job correctly and not, well, let's be fair here. Let me be fair. The truth of the matter is, SLED is an assisting agency. So the Colleton County Sheriff's Department is who arrived on that scene first. SLED comes after. And had the Colleton County Sheriff's Office handled that place, the entire property, correctly as a crime scene and not let 11 billion fuckers run through it in the very beginning, right? And then when SLED gets there at what, like 11 or 11:30, somewhere in that neighborhood, by that point, you have no idea how quickly a crime scene can be messed up. It doesn't take much. All it takes is a few people walking in the wrong places at the wrong times, and boom, evidence is lost. It doesn't take much. So by the time SLED got there, the crime scene was already contaminated, quite frankly. It's kind of like the situation with John Bonet.
Yep.
They just let people run through it, and that's unfortunate. I mean, look, I said it earlier and I meant it. Alec called everybody in that damn ass contact list like he was having a fucking sip and see.
I agree. He did.
These are the
things that bring me back to where I was in the beginning, like all the red flags.
Exactly.
No,
It's
no.
hard because what's the sad part about it is I really think if it had happened, if that property had been treated like it should have been, which was as a crime scene, just because they were down by the shed or by the kennels doesn't mean that whatever happened couldn't have started up by the house. They didn't know that. And according to Alec, he was gone for an hour, right? So a lot of things can happen in an hour. I mean, it took
They
Brian
sure can.
Koberger allegedly 20 minutes to unalive 4 people
Right.
brutally.
Yep.
With not even with a gun.
With
for
a
Pete's
yeah,
sake.
with a knife.
You
of all
know, with a
things.
knife. So a lot of things can happen in an hour. And they should have treated that place like it was, which was a crime scene, including that house. And they should have run off all those people.
Over the murder every single possible time that it comes up, every time here. Mark?
Yeah, so I love this one where his leg starts getting excited. It starts going up and down. A bit of the in and out as well there, Greg, as well. But it's even more joyous around this idea of introducing the boat story, because I think...
Okay, I just have to make a quick reference really quick. I got a Clockwork Orange vibes just then when he was talking with the in and out and a bit of the old, yeah, it reminded me of
You know, he's
Clockwork
now
Orange, just real quick.
some ideas
It was come out, otherwise I'll be a mess.
potential trouble that may lead to a perpetrator. And I think he looks off to his side there, not only to check intent, but to work out, how's my story landing on this one? Is this one I should go a little bit further down, that my son may well have an enemy out there. Oh, we also, this is off baseline as well, we also start to see his hand nearest to the driver, to the officer, just becomes more active. And I hadn't seen his hand that active and that descriptive. So I think he's becoming quite excited and buoyant around how this story might work out for him. This is off baseline for me. Scott, what you got on this one?
All right, here's where he alludes to the murders being due to that boat accident. That's cold. When you're trying to blame something on something your son did, that says a lot about this guy, his personality type. And when he's asked about the relationship with his son, his head shakes and and then it starts turning, like Chase was saying, into like a little bobblehead doll. So there's a lot going on there at that point as well. And that's probably true.
Sorry, Barbara, I'll keep it in check.
Is as good as it could be, as it could possibly be. And that's because they probably didn't get along very well. So it was as good as it could possibly be, because maybe the child didn't like him. Maybe the wife didn't like him, because he says the same thing about her as well, as good as it could possibly be. And he's telling the truth, I think, there. And it was as good as it could possibly be. Apparently, she's moved out and lives. Where'd you say she was, Greg? Living in the what?
In their beach house. I read she was estranged and living in their beach house.
Yeah, doesn't bring that up at all. So there's a lot going on there that he's not bringing up. So I'm sure it was as good as it could possibly be. Greg, what do you got?
I just like the behavior panel.
Yeah, so
I just like to hear what they have to say.
Illustrate baseline better than this guy
I do
does.
too.
He's asked two
I don't need
questions
to know
about
Alec
his relationship with his
He's a
son
lying
and about his
liar, mouth
relationship
who
with his
tells lies.
wife.
I got it.
And in both instances, he says wonderful. But go back, watch his body language when he says wonderful. When he says wonderful about his son, it's pretty straight body language. When he says wonderful about his wife, now we know that they're estranged. He breaks eye contact, moves away to the side. His face changes, and he is entirely different when he's saying that. Then he's drawing away as he says it. Then he qualifies it. I forget what he says exactly. Well, we had our moments, and then he gets back into those facts and deliberate language. And the minute he gets back into those facts and deliberate language, then he's okay. He's answering factual questions. His baseline comes back. When he gets down to the mechanics and he starts to tell that boat story, his thighs start moving. As Mark said, he starts to march in place with that 1 foot, and his blink rate increases. He does a left shoulder shrug again when he says, nothing like this. Well, of course, nothing like this. Yeah, they hit him. They said bad things to him and never came out and killed him. So all this, we see a pattern. We see his baseline.
Which is interesting, because obviously if they'd done something like this, we'd be having a whole different conversation.
When he's comfortable,
Weirdo.
we see a deviation, and we get a chance to see two very different answers using the same English. If you think that body language is hokum, watch that and tell me it's hokum. Tell me you can't see something that's going on. 2 different messages, same words. That's all I got.
That's a tie.
Beautiful.
Your team both.
Beautiful. Olympics.
You're taking it so serious.
Had Maggie and Paul been arguing over anything?
No.
What was their relationship like?
Wonderful.
Wonderful. How about yours and Maggie's?
Wonderful. I mean, I'm sure we had little
I have to
things
go
here
back
there,
and
but we
watch
had a
that,
wonderful
Karen.
marriage,
Do
wonderful
you know when
relationship.
that was? Can you give
And
me
yours
like
and Paul's
a rough
relationship?
estimate, babe,
As
when that
good as it could
was?
be.
How old was Paul?
22.
Okay. You know his date of birth?
I do. April 11th, 96 is his brother's. April 14th, 99 is Paul's.
How about, what's Maggie's full name?
Margaret Brandstetter Murdoch.
And her date of birth, sir?
September 15th, 1968.
Thank you, babe. I appreciate that, Karen.
Have y'all been having any problems out here? Trespassers?
Oh,
People
this is a
breaking
good one.
in.
I forgot about this.
No,
Look
the
at
only
this, TT.
thing that what comes to mind.
Yeah, what comes to mind? Did you see this? Another lie about not being able to get Paul to go to the doctor, but he texted his mom asking her to make a doctor appointment. Now, that is interesting.
I did catch that yesterday.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. Yes.
It's interesting. All right. So didn't he say when he called 911 that he was at the house sleeping?
I'm actually confused on, I'm glad that somebody asked that because I'm confused on when he was saying he was, laying on the couch. Where did that all come? Where did that come
All
in
right.
at?
So if I remember correctly, he said that he got home from work that day. He and Paul rode around in the truck and talked about sunflowers for a couple of hours. Back to the house, they ate supper. He took a shower, and then he laid down on the couch and watched TV and fell asleep. And then for zero reason at all, he gets up and has to take 280 steps to get ready to rush out the door to see his mother. And then he goes over to Almeida, visits with his mom for 15 or 20 minutes, makes 11 billion calls on the way, and then gets in the car, comes back, but does not go to the kennels, goes to the house. And according to the 911 call, it was obvious that nobody was in the house. So then he drives down to the kennels, and that's when he sees Paul and Maggie. My question is, at 8:45, the lights would have needed to be on, right? When Paul was making that video for Rogan, the lights down at the kennel would have had to be on, right? It starts to get dusky about that time, right? In the summer. Yeah. So, okay. See, I would think that he would, because the way that it's been described, and I have to go back and replay it and stuff, but it seems like he would have driven past where the kennels would have been, I mean, obviously they're back on the property, but you would be able to see if there were lights, right? So I don't know I don't know why he drove to the house. Do they typically leave the lights on all night? See, there's all kinds of these little detailed questions that I wish Waters would have asked.
My mind is my son Paul was in a boat wreck a couple years ago, and there's been he was charged with being arrested for being the driver. There's been a lot of negative publicity about that, and there's been a lot of people online just really vile stuff. But when Paul's out and about, I mean, people routinely I don't think I know the full story, because I don't think they give it to me. But I mean, he's been punched and hit and just attacked a lot. So, you know, but I mean, nothing like this.
Yeah. So is there anybody that you can think of that we need to talk to tonight? Is there a name that comes to mind?
I mean, I can't tell you anybody that I'm overly suspicious of off the top of my head.
Okay.
You know, I mean, this is such a stupid thing. I'm even embarrassed to say it, but it just didn't make any sense. I just hired a guy out here, and he wasn't cutting
Hang
the
on a
mustard, but I
second.
had told him this yet. Paul's been working with him a lot. He killed our seed.
Tango, the video that we're watching was done way before Paul took the stand. Let me see what the date on this video is. Hang on just a
Yeah, it
second.
was in 21, I think. I mean, was it?
Well, no, I'm when the behavior panel did this, it was 2 weeks ago. It was before Alec would have testified.
Yeah,
And
the video. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm sure that the behavior panel will do a follow-up, like when they actually, when going over his testimony. But it's a lot. And I would imagine, he was on the stand for quite a while. I think all in all together with direct and cross was 12 hours. And so it probably is going to take them a while to go through all of that testimony and make another video. Videos take a long time.
They will, yes, they will revisit all of this. So, but right now, this is what we have.
Right. And we're doing this because we just like the behavior panel. We just wanted to hear what they had to say. And we're going to give our opinions on what their opinions are. And that's it.
That's it.
It's not for just recently,
like,
is why Paul
we're
was
not
here
trying
doing
to
this.
solve crime.
He told
or
Paul a
anything.
story the other day about how when he was in high school, he got in a fight with some black guys, and the FBI undercover team observed him fighting those guys and put him on an undercover team with 3 Navy SEALs, and that their job was to kill radical Black Panthers. And they did that from Myrtle Beach to Savannah. Now, I really don't think this guy,
Lordy B,
is probably the person, but that's just so freaking.
Yeah, that's kind of
Is Maggie and
story.
Paul a radical? Wait a minute. Let me just stop.
Okay.
I mean, I tried to do it impossible.
What the hell? First of all,
I mean, I'm sure we had a little thing.
here it is, right there.
What's his name?
CB Rush.
First of all, let me just stop you right there. This makes no sense. First of all, the story in and of itself makes no sense, right? Obvious. That's obvious from right off the bat. The story makes 0 sense. But let's just say there's a kernel of truth to this. Let's say CB Rowe is telling the gospel truth here, and that is what he did straight out of high school. Did I miss the bulletin where Maggie and Paul radical Black Panthers? I mean, I don't.
I know.
The shit is crazy enough. Why did you have to? I just don't get it, Alec. Come on,
Chase,
man.
Right at the beginning
Chase,
of this clip, you can see him try to adjust himself to look more comfortable and more relaxed. The moment he does this, you're going to see his body completely disagree with him. It's going to move his hand back, almost
Even
just
his
without
body
his
don't
consent,
like him.
to protect the groin.
I
and
knew
the
you were going
femoral
to say
artery
that.
here. And do you know what other emotion that would be coming up here that's missing is anger. Anger would be present here. And he's got a huge problem identifying a perpetrator here who did this. And he wants to keep the ambiguity as high as possible. And I don't think there's any desire whatsoever for him to get them to find the person that did this And just pay close attention to what is not being said here. And I think, in my opinion, you might hear a murderer talking if you just listen to what's not being said and what's being ignored. Greg?
Yeah, there's no anger. There's no rush. There's no urgency. None of that. As a matter of fact, listen to the cadence of his storytelling. Slow down. Slow down. This is, what has it been, 30 minutes of him sitting in a car? I would be looking for help. He gets into, there's a new word, a new phrase he's injecting that indicates he's comfortable and thinking and talking. And that's his filler words starting to come out. It's not scrambled, it's not compressed. None of that's going on. There's more concern in the cop's brow and in the guy in the back seat than there is in his. This is his family. There's that makes your face want to smile. It's almost smiling story. Well, what the frontalis muscle was down in sadness, and that was probably an indicator. He also,
real quick, thank you, Emily. That was so sweet of you to do that. You guys, Emily gifted a membership. That was so sweet of you. Thank you, babe. I think watching this is a good idea because they're telling all the parts where he lied, right? And what was the main justification he gave for lying? That he was nervous and that he had paranoid thoughts, and he had a fundamental mistrust of
sled. Yeah.
And that's who he's sitting in the car with. But here what Greg just said, or Chase just said, was it Greg or Chase that was just talking? Now I'm all discombobulated. Greg. Okay. That he is starting to get comfortable, which is interesting because I don't know. I've never heard anybody be comfortably paranoid before.
Yeah, me
Truth
neither.
teller. Those things seem like oxymorons.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay.
And look at Mark. He just ain't having none of it.
No, Mark is ready to be like, can we be done with this already?
He is. He truly is.
This fool has been lying since he sat down in that car. Okay. He's not stopped lying yet. Hey, Melissa Jade. Hey, everybody.
He had the same look. He had the same look over all the analyzing they did with Harry and Meghan. And he's just over it. He's like, they're lying. Shut them down, and ice them out.
Even Scott, look at Scott's face. He's over it too.
Turtle Chase, after he goes back and he gets forced into that position, then he shrinks a bit. When we say turtling, your head and your torso shrink and make your target smaller. This cadence is unlike anything else we've heard. I think it's because he has already been rehearsing this story and he knows what he's going to say. This guy who told me this story, and well, if you're trying to figure out who to point somebody to, then you'd have a lot of details. When I would just say, hey, there's a guy who works for me. He's a little shady. Maybe you want to go check him. If that were the case, I don't think that's the case. And this is the first time, the single first time he's used his right hand to illustrate anything when he's talking about this guy. It's been at his groin, as I call it, protecting the precious this entire time. That's another red flag. Scott, what do you got?
I like that.
Right.
Protecting the precious.
Now he's trying to put the suspicion on somebody else. He brings in this other guy that worked for him, that he just hired, that isn't working out. And again, we're not seeing, like you were saying, Greg, we're not seeing things we should be seeing in here. We're not seeing the emotions someone goes through as they relive this experience of what just happened, the most horrible things ever happened to him. We don't see that uncontrollable sobbing, no wailing and crying, nothing. We don't even see one tear. And he has, and I've been looking, nothing. We don't see, he doesn't tear up. There's nothing in there. There's no tears at all. We don't see that detachment you'll see from when someone goes through something that bad. Why did this happen? Going back to that and talking about how good they were.
ATS
He's not talking about the things, he
you,
loved this, or she loved, she talked about the dogs earlier, but he didn't really focus on that. He'd be talking about how the things that he thought of her and what this reminded him of her. She liked to do this and he loved to do that. That's what he would talk about a lot, especially with this amount of time going by in an interview like this. Right in here's where that usually happens, especially when you're the first. You got them in the car and you're the first ones talking to them. That's what you see in here. There's none of that. None of that's happening. He should be distraught. This guy's not distraught. He sounds like he's talking about some things that, like when we tell stories, it sounds like he's talking about something that happened last week. Guess what happened last week? This, and then going through it, he just gives this list of things and never tears up. Doesn't use his Kleenex either. Nothing's looking the way it should look. I keep going back to that, but I think that's the most important thing here. Nothing looks as it should look up to now. All right, Mark, what do you got?
Yeah, this is a beautiful scene. You can't even write this stuff. It's genius. The officer
Sharon.
says, "Look,
It's
is
just
there
the
anybody that we should be looking
I'll
at?"
put the
And when he
link in
says that,
chat.
he covers his mouth because he knows, I think, that he's looking at the perpetrator right now. So he's even blocking himself to the lie of the question that he's asking there. This guy comes up with an amazing story. It's a brilliant story. I don't know whether he's making it up completely on his own, or this guy who took the day off today had actually told him this story. But it's a brilliant idea for a story whereby you got a kid, high school kid, gets in a fight. FBI see him. They've got a whole bunch of Navy SEALs, and they go after the Black Panthers together all the way. And I love this line. They did that from Myrtle Beach to Savannah. It's just a great, I can just picture it in my head, the Navy SEALs and this high school kid. Myrtle Beach is fantastic. All that rough stuff happening in Myrtle Beach, and then all the way down to, I think they have to go through Charlotte or something like that, or Charleston.
I
Or
can't
something.
with him.
I don't know. I can't remember, but yeah. But I'm just picturing the scene there
I
as well.
swear, I
Awful
bet he's
carnage.
fun at parties.
Oh God, I bet he's a
Awful
blast.
carnage up and down the coast that's going on. So I mean, what an amazing story, and the cop again. Like, does a double take on it? Just does it? What the hell's going on here?
Yeah.
And he does say, "Look, I'm embarrassed to say this. I'm embarrassed to even put this idea forward." But then he goes, I felt that story was a bit off."
Oh my God, I know what I was going to say.
He did take the day off today. Like, what a brilliant.
Okay, I thought about this later on in a few minutes. I know they've trimmed it, but in the original one, Paul recorded CB Rowe telling him this story. And they had Paul's phone, and I wonder if they ever found that recording.
I don't know.
Well, don't sound so damn excited. I thought I had something interesting there.
Story.
Calm
Obviously,
down, truth
utter
teller.
nuts,
I'm
but he did
sorry,
take a
I'm
day
out of
off.
hand,
So I
man.
think you should be looking at him. Just brilliant logic. Love it. Let's have another.
You don't know about the FBI Navy SEAL high school recruiter killer teams?
No.
He's British.
Explorers Club.
Everybody
Explorers Club.
knows that story in the US. That's like a classic, all the way from Myrtle Beach to.
Recorded,
Because last time I was in Myrtle Beach, nobody brought it up. So
Well, they have to sell cookies on King of Talk about
right
or
after
something.
he tells the story.
We don't talk about it.
oh,
You're too British.
Oh, I'm sorry. That was the Girl Scouts. Somebody sells cookies.
right.
I was in it, but they kicked me out for crying.
The eyewitness is you.
So is there anybody that you can think of that we need to talk to tonight? Is there a name that comes to mind?
You're talking to him. I mean, no,
I
CB
can't
Rowe.
tell you anybody that I'm overly suspicious of off the top
Look
of my
at him, cut
head.
them eyes.
You know, I mean, this is such a stupid thing. I'm even embarrassed to say it, but it just didn't
Look, just
make
look.
any sense. I just hired a
Right.
guy out here,
Hang on.
and
None of this is valid body language reading since he has admitted to lying, but this was done before he admitted to lying. That's
What I mean, even though it was done before he admitted to lying, they're clearly saying right here through this entire part that we've watched so far that there's deception. They say at the beginning of their videos, most everyone, that they are not in the business of saying that somebody is guilty or not guilty. What they can do is tell you if they detect deception. And that is what they have seen through this whole thing.
exactly. Exactly. This is not to determine whether or not he is guilty of any crime or not. This is just about his body language. And I think when put in context with his testimony, where he says the whole reason that he lied was because of his paranoid thoughts. He had a whole bag of pills in his pocket, and he had a fundamental distrust of Sled, who is the one conducting this interview. So when you put it in the context that it is, and to listen to the body language about what he's doing, it comes off as deceptive, yes, but not fearful, which is
Right.
what we should be picking up on a little. It's just interesting to hear. That's all.
He wasn't cutting the mustard, but I hadn't told him this yet. Paul's been working with him a lot. He killed the sunflower seeds in our dove field just recently, which is why Paul was here doing this. He told Paul a story the other day about how when he was in high school, he got in a fight with some black guys, and the FBI undercover team observed him fighting those guys and put him on an undercover team with 3 Navy SEALs, and that their job was to kill radical Black Panthers. And they did that from Myrtle Beach to Savannah. Now, I really don't think this guy, is probably the person, but that's just so freaking.
Yeah, that's kind of far-fetched.
It's weird. But he was off today.
Okay.
He took his daddy to the doctor.
What's his name?
CB Rowe.
Do y'all store any weapons out here?
We don't store them, but they're frequently out here. I need to find out if there were any out here, because I know there was a shotgun. There was a 12-gauge shotgun out here. I'll have to find out exactly when that was. I think it got put up, but I'm not positive.
What did that shotgun look like?
It was a
Hold on. Stop that, Jen, for just a second, please.
camouflage.
Yes,
The
ma'am.
The guns that was it Buster and Randolph that were bringing out, or Buster and Randy that was seen taking out guns? Who was that?
Buster and John Marvin.
Yeah. Okay, so did they ever determine which guns they took out of that house?
Oh, girl, don't get me lying.
Well, I asked this because a lot of talk has been said about the guns and them taking guns out of the house. And I don't think that that's even, it's almost like people believe that that's the gotcha part. That's the, he's getting rid of the guns. I just feel like he's an attorney. He would have had his ducks in a row before he committed this if those guns were indeed the guns that committed this act. I don't find that them taking guns out of the house is that sus to me, because he shouldn't have done it, because I'm just saying, I feel like if those were the actual guns that he would.
I don't think that no, because it couldn't have been so when that drone footage was recorded, it was like 3 months after the murders. This would have been, let's see, July, like September sometime, likely like right after Alec had the roadside shooting incident. And I think the gig was up. Nobody was going to be able to be down at Moselle, and they were like clearing the house out. Now, they took out guns or firearms that were not like in a case or anything like that, or how, you know what I'm talking about? Like they were rifles.
Right.
And then they took out totes, and then they took some dogs. But I find it very hard to, wouldn't it be crazy if the murder weapons were at the house the whole time?
Yes.
Hidden somewhere?
Yes.
And now they've been moved. That would be completely thrown off.
Yeah.
I will say there is a call that is played in Low Country, and I'm sure it's on YouTube. I just have to find it. But it is a conversation that Paul, or excuse me, it's not between Paul, it's between Alec and Buster. And Alec is talking about people going out to Moselle to hunt and asking Buster if he wants to go out there to hunt. It is a very odd exchange, and
I heard
it
it. Like,
yeah,
why
you
would
know
you
what I'm
ask him that
talking
when your family had just been murdered there?
right. Like Alec's whole spiel from jump was after the night of June 7th to 2021, he never spent another night at Moselle again, ever.
Right.
So why would he think that if he doesn't want to spend the night out there? And I'm pretty sure he pretty well avoided that place, frankly.
And I almost heard contempt in Buster's voice as he was answering him. Like, it was like, no, I'm
Why?
not.
Yeah. Why would I want to go and hunt out there? But there's another piece of that converse. There's a after they get through that part of it, then they start talking about. They're continuing to talk about hunting, but I don't know. It just it does sound a little bit like they are a little talking in code, just a little bit. Maybe they're not. Maybe it's just me just being too side-eye of it because it's an odd exchange. And so I don't know.
I don't know. I've heard some say that. I personally didn't get. I got a what the F? Why are you asking this kid that? Your
Right.
family had just been annihilated on that property, and you're asking him this. I mean, I can't even fathom that crossing my mind to who would even. I wouldn't want my children going on that back on that property if my family had just been slaughtered there. It just was very, very creepy to me.
Yeah, it's just I don't know. It was a weird exchange, and you could tell that Buster's definitely. There's more than a couple of times where the jail calls are recorded and played, and we've heard them. And Buster, there's a couple of conversations where Buster seems like he's a little bit uncomfortable. So that's why when people are like, "Well, Buster sat behind his dad," and I'm not so certain that Buster 100% supports Alec.
Oh,
But
I'm not either.
but that is his dad, and I'm
Here's
sure
what
it's a messed up place to be in.
Well, here's what I think on as far as Buster goes at
Okay.
this point where we're at. I believe that he doesn't support his dad. I don't, but I do believe that he has to appear to be supporting him because I believe that there's something in it for him. That's what I see. I think that he has to at least appear to Alex that he is on his side because Buster gets everything, and I'm not convinced that Alex don't have money hidden in places, and if he goes down the river for what we are expecting, Alex is going to take care of Buster. If he's got it, he's going to give it to Buster. He just is. We saw the pride on his face when that boy was on the witness stand.
Well, right.
And so I think that's where his support comes from is that if I walk away now, I get nothing. And that's just where I'm at with it.
I mean, yeah, I think that I think for Buster he's really in between a rock and a hard place. I do not envy his position at all. And he's really damned if he does and damned if he doesn't. And at this point, the only people that are talking to him really, I don't know how Maggie's family is with him, but I will say that the brothers, Randy is estranged. Randy doesn't have anything to do with Alec. John Paul does, or John Paul, John
Get
Marvin
your names
does.
right, Jen. Get your names
Jesus
right.
fuck. Well, they have so many of them. I should just start nicknaming everybody. Paul. All right. So John Marvin still talks to Alec. And then John Marvin also still talks to Randy, and I'm sure that is a strain on the family. And then there's Buster. You know, I don't know. I'm sure Thanksgiving was real fucking awkward.
I
wanna
think
say
it probably
was. A Benelli
was.
and maybe a Beretta. I can't remember which brand it is. But I don't think it was out here
Okay.
recently. But I'm not positive.
And the shotgun that you had when deputies pulled up, where did that come from?
I
Probably
went to the
since he
house and I
sued
got
him.
a gun. Probably overreacting.
Randy is suing
And
Paul,
was that when you pulled up
Alec,
and saw them?
Kentucky.
No, I mean, I came out and I called 911 first.
Mm-hmm.
Talked to them for a little while, and then I told her
Told her.
that I was going to go to the house.
Okay.
And that I would let authorities know when they got here that I had a gun.
Okay.
Hang on just a
All
second.
right, Mark, what do you got?
Hang on. You can say innocent until proven guilty. That's the way the law works. That's the way our justice system works in the United States of America. We're just talking about, there's no theory here. I don't understand. You've been in my chat a few times, and I've been super patient and I've been super cool. Like, I don't hardly ever say, I just been letting it roll off my back. But I don't understand what you're talking about when you say, you know what, never mind, I don't even care.
We had a couple of them
just one
last
thing,
night too.
which is he's
stress.
really screwed himself now, because now
just
he's
say whatever
bringing up
you
the
want
murder
to say.
weapon.
You're
How easy
entitled to
was
your
that?
opinion,
How
but just
easy
be
was that?
respectful.
Got any guns out
That's it.
here?
Don't call anybody
and he's
here.
mentioned a
Hold on.
shotgun, and I'm going to assume.
Excuse me, Mark. Look, I don't really care what anybody says in the chat. Have your opinion. Agree with me, disagree with me, agree with truth teller, disagree with truth teller, but don't be insulting. Don't call anybody stupid. Don't call names. That it is what it is. So we're just having a discussion. That's all we're having. South Georgia Stacker, a little bit, you have been a little disrespectful, but you come up, it's not a tone, because you can't read tone in text. But when you say things like, do you know what, you don't live my lifestyle, you don't know what lifestyle I live. Okay? That's how it starts. Look, just everybody calm the fuck down, including me. Let's get back to watching this and talk about this. And that's that. So I'll be nice. Jesus fuck it, Sunday.
As to the condition of certainly one of the bodies, that a shotgun was used. And so, he's already bringing up the murder weapon and what it might look like, and could be, certain brand. I can't believe that he's not been clever throughout any of this. So I don't know why I was even going to say there that he's been so clever and now he's being so dumb, because ultimately he's been so dumb throughout it. That's all I got on that one. Greg, what you got?
Yeah, and for those of you who don't know weapons, a shotgun is harder to trace as a murder weapon because it doesn't rifle whatever you're using. You can have rifle slugs, but likely not what was used. And those rifles, on the other hand, like that blackout that they were using, does create patterning on the bullet. So if you have the weapon and the bullet, you can figure out which weapon was used. That's part of the reason why that might be an issue. This cop is even looking a little frustrated. Look at the brow. And suddenly this guy talks like a lawyer. Do you have weapons? Do you store weapons there? Well, not stored. Well, you know the intent of the question, but you're answering it that way. His hands have moved now to where he's got kind of a little gentle hug going on. And he's chaffing when he talks about weapons. When he starts to talk about weapons, his blink rate rises and he starts to adapt as they're talking about this weapon specifically, this shotgun. You see his foot starting to tap and hop.
Thank you, Char.
His hand is adapting, meaning releasing nervous energy at his stomach. And after he's asked specifically about, did you have a shotgun? Watch that right leg. It is going crazy. His breathing becomes more rapid and pronounced, and he even loses fluency as he's running out of words at what he told her. His blink rate's higher. This is a hot spot. This, and back to why did you come here, and a couple of others are real hot spots at this point. You got to pay attention when something jumps off the plate. This is a loud red flag, Mark, to use yours. Chase, what do you got?
Yeah, I've got a couple loud flags here too.
Oh, thank you.
There's more ambiguity
Samantha,
being
very much.
injected
Thank you
here
very
about the
much.
shotgun. Ambiguity about the weapon, not certainty. So, and a
That's very
desire
sweet
to
of you.
help
Thank
the
you.
case means that you would specifically state the facts without ambiguity. And then he's saying, I got a gun. It was probably overreacting. He's explaining motive again to perform an action. Innocent people don't feel the need to stop the story and explain motive to every action that they take. And grabbing a gun after finding
thank you,
family
Char.
members
Welcome to
that
the
are
Kookaloos.
murdered is not an overreaction in this culture that we're seeing here in this video. I think he went back to get a different gun that was from the house so he could be holding one
So
when
glad to have you,
the
babe.
police showed
Welcome,
up, in my
welcome.
opinion. Definitely not a fact.
All right, you guys covered everything I was going to cover to keep it from being boring this month.
The eyewitness is you.
Do y'all store any weapons out here?
We don't
Sucker,
store
I
them, but
appreciate that. You
they're,
didn't have to give me a super sticker, but
you know,
thank
they're
you.
frequently out
Welcome,
here. I need to
Samantha
find out if
Terry.
there were any out here because
Welcome to the
I know there was a shotgun. There was
Kookaloos. Now, I will say this. S. Hockett makes a very good point here. Where is it? I got it lost. Oh, here we go. This is interesting because I've always wondered about this too. I support the Second Amendment in the United States, but I'm for like doing it safely. And to me, it doesn't seem like leaving loaded firearms at that, laying around on a property willy-nilly anywhere is a good idea. It's weird that he's so, what's the word I'm looking for? Nonchalant. Now, I don't know if let me think. I know we got a lot of firearms, but did we leave them laying around? I can't, it seems to me like you would know where your firearms were, not just leave them willy-nilly. You know what I mean? It just seems like a detail that kind of doesn't make sense in a weird way that is added. It's like another way of pointing the finger somewhere else, as if, why would you follow me here? Because the wheels are turning and the hamster is tired. I'm not even gonna lie. So I've never heard somebody describe finding their family member or members unalived by a firearm, who then simultaneously inject that one of the firearms that they own may have been used in the crime that wasn't actually part of the crime. You following me here? It's weird that he is almost anticipating that might be something that comes up later, if that makes sense. Where'd you go, Truth Teller?
I left you a note in the
Oh,
back
did you?
chat. I went to grab a drink, but I'm hearing what you're saying. I agree with you. I think he was setting that up for use at a later time.
Yeah. I mean, well, that's a good point. I don't have shit, but SLED does not have the actual murder weapons used in this crime. But what's interesting to me is that he is injecting into the investigation this is the very beginning. Let me see what time this video is at, where they're at right now. Hold on.
there was a 28 shotgun out here.
Right. So it's 1:00 in the morning. What is that? About 3 hours approximately since he called 911. And thank you. There you go. That's what he's doing. He's answering the unknown before they're even asked. That's the problem. That's the red flag for me. Thank you, C Star. Good. Well put.
To find out when he got put. I'm not positive. Camouflage. I want to say it was a belly or maybe a burr. Can't remember which brand it is. But I don't think it was out here recently. But I'm not positive.
And the shotgun that you had when deputies pulled up, where did that come from?
I went to the house and I got a gun. Probably overreacting, but.
And was that when you pulled them?
No, I mean, I came out and I called 911 first.
Mm-hmm.
Talked to them for a little while, and then I told her.
You told her
that I was going to go to the house.
Okay.
And that I would let authorities know when they got here that I had a gun.
Okay. What did you do today? Were you at the office or?
Nope, I was home. I came home. Paul and I messed around.
Thank you.
Thank
you, Kentucky.
I was
That's
up at the
very sweet.
house.
I appreciate that.
Laid down, took a nap
Glad
on
you're
the couch.
here.
Probably, I don't know, 25, 30 minutes. I got up. I called Maggie. Didn't get an answer. And I left.
Yeah, we're a supportive bunch over
She
here.
said she might ride with me, but she normally doesn't when I go over there. And I think I texted her. And she's very good about answering the phone, so that was odd, or calling me back.
Mm-hmm.
So that was odd, but it wasn't that big a deal.
I agree with what Shmita just said. I thought that same thing. He's apologizing for, or not apologizing, but he's making an excuse for what he just said. What do you mean probably overreacting? Your family was just murdered is what Shmita said. And I agree. Like, you know, when he talks about going to get another gun and he says, maybe I just found it odd that he felt the need to say something like that. Your family was just, I mean, they were just blown to bits on your property. How are you overreacting if you didn't do this? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like,
I feel like there's no overreaction. Do you know what I mean? Like okay, so if everything is exactly as Alex says it was, right? He did, everything occurred just exactly like he said it did. Everything is on the up and up and he's not involved at all. He is walked up to seeing his wife and his son obliterated. Okay. And he's on a huge ass property. I would not overreact. I don't think getting a firearm would be overreacting.
no, I mean, that would
be normal. That's what they're there for. You know, they're there for protection.
And look how far back in the woods he is. I mean, anybody, if somebody else truly did do this, anybody could be on that property and come for him at any moment. I mean, I don't know. These are the kind of things that make me, when I start swaying in one direction, bring me back, because this is just foolishness.
It is foolishness. And you know what I'm curious about too? You know what he doesn't mention at all? Not one time. Those dogs at the front of the kennel, in the first few kennels, the pens, were family dogs. These were Maggie's dogs. And yet they weren't going crazy when he pulled up.
Right.
I'm curious about that. Do you know what I mean? Like,
I do. Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
I agree with you.
And also, Shmita, this too. All the things that we found out about him, all the financial stuff, the situation with cousin Eddie, and I'm not talking about the roadside shooting. I'm talking about all the pills. It seems to me like Alec would be the main target of the family, not really Maggie or Paul. You know, I
You
don't
would
know.
think so. You would think so.
And
But again, too, you know, let's just say, let's go out on a limb and say that I don't necessarily believe a cartel or
oh
I
God,
mean,
no,
you
no.
know, but let's just say it's some organization. I'm not saying the mob either, but I'm just saying something that he's involved in that has, they usually do go for the people you love because they want their money. They're not going to take you out until later. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Right.
So they wouldn't necessarily go after him. But I don't know. I just am not at a point that I believe there's this big. I don't know. This man had his hands in a lot of garbage,
He
and
sure did. I mean, he did. He was involved in criminal activity. Period.
Yeah.
That puts you, when you're doing illegal things, it puts you around people who also do illegal things.
right.
There you go. Now, I just want to say what I'm saying is like about the dogs is that Alec doesn't mention anything. Like when I pulled up, the dogs were going nuts because, you know, when the coroner came, and I believe that the coroner got there at like 11 o'clock, and Maggie and Paul were cool, but they were not. Rigor mortis hadn't even started yet. They were cold, but they were still in the very early stages of having, you know, been killed.
Right.
So yes, the armpit
How did they
coroner.
come to this? How did they come to this time of death? Because we keep hearing this time. He, you know, this was. We don't know. I mean, I know that they're estimating based on. So okay, so wait a minute. Run me through the timeline again from when he was in the kennel with Paul and Maggie.
Okay, so the kennel video. Hold on a minute. Let me.
Did I lose sound, or are you looking for something? Okay, so Ellie, why do we know that they were dead no later than 9:06? That's my question. We know that they were alive at 8:50, but how do we know that the time of death was 9:06? That's where I'm confused. Like I don't know. And the hostess left us.
Well, that was weird.
There you are. What happened? I'm talking to myself up here.
And it just all of a sudden rebooted because it was like, oh, something went wrong, and then I said reload, and then I came back. Okay, so at 8:44 and some odd seconds is the video, right?
Right.
That's when we hear Alec. And then 4 minutes later, or 5 minutes later, I think 8:49 is when Paul and Maggie's phones are locked and are not unlocked again. until they're unlocked by law enforcement. They do have some, like there's an orientation change recorded on Maggie's phone. Paul's doesn't really do anything. Her phone is the one that does stuff, but Paul's doesn't. And
But wasn't, see that, I don't, that's where I'm not,
so then what they did is, then of course they used that plus the autopsy. So when the medical examiner did the autopsy, based on the food that was in their stomachs and in their digestive tracts, it's you cannot get, unless you die at a hospital where they call it, there's usually a window of time, like a couple of hours. And so I think what they're doing is basically working from the phone activity based on the results from the autopsy. And so the way that they have it is somewhere between 9 and 10, somewhere between 8:45 ish or 8:49 to 10 o'clock is what the time of death
that's
is.
where my problem is. I get it that the phones weren't used anymore, but that just, that's not a zinger for me, because he would have literally had to, the Snapchat video where we hear him saying, Bubba, he's literally going to have to turn around within 2 minutes and blow their heads off.
Well,
if we believe it to happen like they said it happened.
I mean, it doesn't take that long to shoot somebody. I mean, that's a
no, but I mean, it would
thing.
take him a long. I mean, for them not. I mean, where's the guns? How is he keeping them? I don't know.
Hey, Teresa. Hey, babe. I will say this: the timeline is incredibly, incredibly tight, but it is not out of the realm of possibilities.
Because what time did the 911 call go in?
10:07.
So that's a lot of time there between the Snapchat video and the time that the 911 call went in. That's an hour and 15 minutes, give or take.
Mm-hmm. That's enough time.
I know it is. That's what I'm saying. But that's a lot more. That's a lot of time there than from 8:49 to 9:06. You know what I'm saying? Well, what I'm getting at is, I just not sure that I buy that that's when it happened. That it happened that quickly, rather.
Right. I mean, I will say that does Shmita not have her wrench? Criminality? What's happening over here in this chat? Let me see what's going on. Hold on a second. It is tight. And I will say that, oh yeah, she's got her wrench. Oh, I guess I don't know. She must be saying pictures. Anyway, I need to not look at chat so much because I'd be getting distracted, but I don't like to ignore the people in chat either. So, it is a tight timeline, and I do kind of think it happened just like that. I do.
Maybe it did. I just have a problem with it.
Tell me why, though. No, I mean, but why? Why do you think?
Well, no, I just have a problem with them, their insistence that it was at 9:06, because that does, that makes Alex the more likely suspect. I just don't think that we've all agreed, no matter what side we're on, that this investigation was shit. I mean, we
Right.
agree that. I don't know. I have a problem with it. I have a problem with the time, because that's a lot. Like I said, that's an hour and 15 minutes.
This is a good point here. We have to keep in mind that when he said he went back to the house after the kennels, he probably didn't. Golf cart can't be tracked. Clever move using the golf cart. And see, the problem is, this is where it gets sticky. During this period of time where Paul is texting, Maggie's doing whatever she's doing on the phone, Paul is making that video. There is no activity on Alec's phone at all. None.
Right.
Now you watched how you can see when we were watching earlier on on Decipher podcast where we were I mean, you saw how much he handled that phone.
Right.
He was, even if he wasn't actually on it, he was handling the phone. But his phone shows no activity, which is interesting.
Oh, I agree.
So,
I agree.
yeah, I mean, he left the house for his mom's, and that is that's when, right shortly before that is when all of the activity on his phone starts. And I believe Waters called him a busy bee. Which I already told Mr. Waters after the Depp trial, it's too soon. We ain't ready for the use of being a bees yet. Don't be bringing up no bees. We ain't ready. But I think that it's just, it's a real it's just very interesting that somebody who is forever on their phone has this, which is why I think he said he took a nap, right? But then on the stand now he doesn't even know it was a non-nap. I may
Right.
have
He doesn't
dozed
even know if
off.
he dozed off. I think he said. I don't. If I did, it was not.
Right. Exactly. Not ignore chat. I just need to, if I'm going to speak, I cannot read the chat if I'm speaking. If I'm reading and speaking at the same time, I will inject what I'm reading into whatever I'm saying. So I have to not look at the chat while I'm talking because I get all discombobulated. And I just don't, and I will say this, what Shmita said, it is incredibly difficult in most cases, okay, where a death is not attended, all right, to determine exactly the time of death. There is always some type of window. And when you look at murders, a lot of times they will put the time of death on the death certificate, the time that the coroner arrived. Like if you look at Stephen Smith's death certificate, from, just because we're talking about the way they do things, it doesn't matter how Florida does it, because hello, we're not talking about Florida, but in South Carolina, in that county, the coroner, when it's an unattended death, they will usually put that as the time of death on the death certificate. It's very different than when they get to the trial. They will give a window of opportunity. It's usually somewhere in the vicinity of depending on the condition they find the body in. There's a lot of variables. It's almost impossible to say down to the minute when somebody died based on even on an autopsy. You can't do that. I mean, it's an educated guess based on everything, all of the factors and what's, well, South Georgia Stacker, it's not really the body temperature that they take from a dead person. It's really the liver temperature, but he didn't want to do that. So, and Rigger was not president. See, this is why I can't look at the chat and talk, because then I'd be reading other words. Rigor mortis wasn't present when the coroner was there. All right, so let's see. Oh, I forgot I have to totally do the whole thing over again. What the frack? There it goes.
Yes, sir.
Oh, wait a minute. Truth teller,
Yes, ma'am.
do you take candy from people you have a Do you take candy from people you have a fundamental distrust of?
No, ma'am.
Candy, gum, snacks? Neither do I. Just curious. Just curious. Didn't you bother ask anybody else in the car about gum? So damn rude.
Behind Danny's head is a case of water.
It's not a big deal.
Yeah, I got some.
Trial's going on right now.
Yes. Yep. Wow.
It's live on that Law and Crime Network thing.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And Court
Network,
TV
Law and
and
Crime
just about
Network
everywhere.
thing.
Yeah.
You literally
I
just use
Law
their
and crime. Let's use their.
whatever. Yeah.
Greg, what do you got?
What is going on here with the end? What?
Adapting all up until he give him a
Is your internet wonky tonight?
phone record. This is a guy who's smart enough. He's been in the business.
It is.
Just run through it.
I don't know why it's doing this. I think there's an update. It never does this. It's usually very, very good. I don't know.
You're
what
a little.
It's
I
doing
don't know
tonight.
about the chat, but for me,
Teresa
it's a
says
little
she likes
robotic.
snacks. Is it still right now? Is it
I
right
don't
now?
hear anything. No, you're. I can hear you fine right now.
Okay. All right. Should be all right now. I don't know what's going on. They might be doing an update or something. Teresa said that she would because she likes snacks. I like snacks too, Teresa, but I don't think I would be taking. No, not if I had a fundamental distrust. What the fuck? Heck. Sorry. I'm trying not to cuss, but
He relaxes because he goes to abdominal breathing. It's pronounced. And they've let him now off book. His brain is relaxed. There's no emotion whatsoever. I still, what is missing is the, hey, can we just hurry? Can we get back to this instead of talking about all my phone records? Here. That's it. Scott will change.
In his baseline to far and higher, he's just relaxed. He's been so far. Still guarding, growing, still doing the same things we talked about at the top. Think rate is still at the top, is still going on. As like you were saying, Greg, this is what he envisioned happening. He's done now. He's gone through his list of stuff that he's supposed to talk about.
that's a good point. But money and food are two different things. I would take money from somebody I didn't trust. I just wouldn't take food from somebody I didn't trust. Gum either. Gum counts.
You know, and while he starts answering, you see him lean back and that head goes back and rests up against the headrest back there. He's relaxing, but I think at the same time, he's sort of bracing himself against the back of that headrest and his legs start moving back and forth. And I think this indicates the stress of this specific situation because almost everything changes up to this point. And again, they're very subtle, but those are the things we're looking for and listening for. And after that, he asks him for gum and water. You know, I think it's almost like a reward for himself. He's crossed the finish line. He's reached his goal. He said everything that he's thought about saying on his list, the things he's rehearsed, his story. We've heard him walk through, like you were saying, Chase, too many details, man. Way too many details for what had happened from as we look at this as a whole. So I think he feels like he's crossed the finish line and he's like, yeah, instead of dunking water on himself, he's asking for water and he's chewing gum.
Yeah.
Which makes sense because I'm sure his mouth got dry during all that, during the nervous parts of it. But I think he's relaxed now. So that's why his brain is letting him do things outside of that situation. No sobbing, no what happened. No hand wringing. Nothing we should be seeing in here that is we're seeing here, I guess you'd say. Mark, what do you got?
Yeah, so lots of upward inflection. Paul and I messed around, probably, and odd. So I think he's unsure around the story he's trying to project at this point, not quite sure if it's going to stick. Then the female officer in the back asks him something about time. Then we get a down inflection. What time was what? So I think he now knows that he's now going to be nailed down to some times. I think some of those times, some of the phone information is working for him, and I think some of it can't be reconciled. If I remember rightly, I think he turns and opens the door and kind of spits out the door, or maybe even vomits a bit. I'm not quite sure, but there's some kind of opening of the door, I think. And so I think he can't reconcile some of the. He sees some information that he can reconcile on there, and there's some stuff that isn't going to work for him, and there may be some panic there. So either he has to lean out to block that and have a think about it, then comes back, looks off to reconcile, like how am I gonna deal with this, and then the phone goes away. Chase, what do you got on this one?
I agree with you guys. Y'all covered a lot of it. There's more ambiguity insertion here, but the way that he points to the call log directly and then mentions it, that's interesting to me. I'm betting that we find out something is off about this call log. The trial's going on right now, so I don't think he's been on the stand yet. But I'm willing to bet that we find something is interesting about this call log. And
things were deleted. You are correct.
He calls
Chase.
it out as if it's an offering,
Right.
much like he did with the camouflage shotgun. It's an
Unintentionally,
offering.
too.
Well, there's something here that you can look at. Those two things, call log and shotgun, were the two things that really stood out to where he kind of offered something up to assist the police. That is a heavy flag for me. Is that everybody?
I think so.
Greg won that one. Stole it. Yeah, man.
I think
The
you're
hell is
right,
that?
Lisa. I think people would have been critical of Alec's behavior regardless of how he played
What
it.
did you do today?
He's just not a.
Were you at the
I don't
office
know.
or?
Nope, I was home. I came home. Paul and I messed around. I was at the house. Laid down, took a nap on the couch. Probably
I will, Mr.
5,
MCG.
30 minutes. I got up. I called Maggie. Didn't get an answer, and I left to go to my mom's. She had said she might ride with me, but she normally doesn't when I go over there. And I think I texted her.
Oh, I think they will, Grumpy Cat. Absolutely.
And
they
she's
will.
very good about answering the phone. So that was odd, or calling me back. So that was odd, but it wasn't that big a deal.
Now, what time was that?
What time was what?
That you sent her a text message.
Did you, that was a little persnickety. What time was what? Like he forgot she was back there. Like, who asked you?
All right. I texted her at 9:08, going to check on M, be right back. And then I texted her at 9:47.
Oh, really,
That must be
Ellie?
when
That's funny.
started to come back. I think I called her before that. But let me make sure. Pretty sure that I called her.
This man needs some damn
9:45.
Mucinex.
And then I tried Paul.
You need something. This is a mess.
Then, no, I think that was riding. I think that might have been riding over there. $10:03. I mean, my calls are right here.
Yeah.
So, obviously this is when I, at 10:06,
Oh, he's glissy? Huh. From what? He told everybody that he had a pocket full of pills in this video. So what's he withdrawing from, I wonder?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
I don't think he's hit the DT just yet.
Anybody else want some gum?
No, sir.
You don't have any water, do you, Danny? That's all right. I don't need it.
If you behind Danny's head is a case of water.
It's not a big deal.
Yeah, I guess.
This one's hard, but when you first called, you said you tried to come over. Was he laying on his back or on his stomach?
Just like you.
Just like he is. So you weren't able to move him. Okay.
No, ma'am.
Okay. And did he help Maggie a lot out here with the animals?
He helped everybody with everything.
Okay, so it was kind of routine for him to be out here as well in the
This-
evening?
This place is his absolute passion.
Okay.
I tried to turn him, and then I checked him, and I think I already knew, but I checked him.
And when you first pulled into the property, did you come from this direction where all our police cars are, or which way did you come in?
I went to the house,
Okay.
and then I came from the house
This way.
straight here. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I mean, where my vehicle was
Mhm.
parked is probably
Is where it was. Okay.
well, no, maybe not
Mhm.
exactly, but it was pretty close because I
Okay.
came back the same route
That's right, because you went back to get your
No.
shotgun.
when I came back.
Well, Karen, that is Junaith in this video, babe. But he had a pocket full of pills in the vehicle because he talks about it. And these are the clothes that Officer Owen over here confiscated. And that was why people were like, wait, you had a pocket full of pills in your pocket and you were changing your clothes in front of the cop. How did you get rid of the pills? By people, I mean me. I'm people.
All right, Greg, what do you got?
Yeah, just a few things. Again, no grief, not in this forehead, not in the
I
sides
don't
of the
know
mouth. Look, there's
criminality,
lots of
why
ways to
they
show
didn't
grief.
look
You know,
at
there's all
that golf
kinds of ways
cart.
that people show grief. We associate that with grief muscle. There's a ton of stuff you can do with your face to show you're sad, that you're disappointed. Something. I mean, we know he can because we've seen him use those parts of his face, so he's not Botoxed out of existence, although maybe that's part of it. But there's not even concern in his brow. None. None. When she's talking about rolling over your dead child, none.
He
none.
said none.
This is within moments.
None.
And I'll say, you can be shocked. People behave differently, but very few people in life chase combat. A guy you don't know, you find an impact. It has an impact on people. There's no renewed emotion, no help me. He could be talking about a car accident, the way he's responding to this. And then I came out, my taillight was busted out. It's about what I hear. There's no shock at how horrific this is, because if I did it, I desensitize after I've seen it. I probably didn't expect it. Look, my opinion, this guy's just talked himself into a hole. And he thinks he's at the end of it because he goes back into Ozzy mode. Starts doing the yeah thing, the head banging thing again. I think he feels like he's at 2 posts at the end of this thing. Just my opinion, just what I see. Chase, what do you got?
So this Ozzy thing you're talking about, this head nodding at the end here, is something I really want to talk about. So first, we're seeing a repetitive gesture. Second, we're seeing nodding. Third, we're seeing gum chewing, another repetitive gesture. If we go off of what the Godfather says, Joe Navarro, repetitive gestures are self-soothing. And he's experiencing a lot of discomfort during this period of silence, and I think unconsciously he's
That's what I
nodding to
thought
both
too, that it was
self-soothe
self-soothing.
and to reassure himself that his story is correct and that there's some form of agreement here in the call with him. But I had to call the big guns this morning, and I wanted to get Joe Navarro's opinion on this.
You
So I
didn't call
sent this
us, so
video
you
to
didn't call the
Joe
big guns.
this morning.
Jen
And
Lou and
this
Trip
is
Teller
from
is the
Joe.
big guns.
That's
What
it.
you mean,
He should have
hey,
called
Chase?
us.
So
Should have
the
called us.
head
We'd have
nodding is
told you.
unusual. I suppose one could argue that he is going over in his mind what he just said, and it's almost as though he's in agreement or satisfied with what he just uttered. But that's pure conjecture. One of the things you can look at is the increase in the speed of chewing. If you speed it up, you'll see what I mean. Now, that's not indicative of deception, but it is indicative of trying to relieve the stress that follows what he just said. And I think it couldn't have been said better than Joe said it. And that's all I got.
Okay.
Mark, what do you got?
Oh, it's
Yeah,
my
lovely.
turn. Yeah, get it, Mark. Come on.
Okay, what I see is his hands leaving
Mark,
frame, or
bless him.
almost leaving
I know
frame,
it.
which is a bigger gesture than we've normally seen him do. The cop next to him now, I think, is literally revolted by him. There's some nausea going on with him. When his hand comes over, he looks away, he shifts away. The shotgun comes up again. I think clearly that the journey to the house is important. The shotgun is important. The nodding, I would agree. You know, whether it means anything, I would agree with Joe that there's a self-soothe and a self-soothe around. Is my story working? Is this good for me? Is this going to work out right for me? Because I think he's got an officer next to him who he can see is revolted. We see the perpetrator here, or potential perpetrator, show disgust when they look over and see the officer revolted. So they know it's going badly for them at this point. Scott, what do you got on this one?
All right. When she asked him the way about his son, the way his son's laying, again, like Greg was saying, no emotion. He still hasn't teared up and still not using that Kleenex. And then after the second question, there's so much space before anybody says anything.
We're
That's
all
when he's
confused.
starting to tie the story up, trying to make it sound more believable and make it sound stronger. And then when she asked him which way he came in, his illustrators get huge. This is the biggest he's used so far. The other ones were okay, but he hasn't used a lot of illustrators, but they get really big, maybe because he's thinking about her back there, and that's why he's doing that to illustrate for her. But they've been extremely limited up to this point. His voice volume is more relaxed. It gets quieter. He looks and sounds more relaxed because I think he feels like everything's going well, because he's under the impression those officers believe him. And that guy sitting next to him, that police officer sitting next to him, he's on a smile, he's goofing around with his lip, he's uncomfortable. So
I don't know, Lisa. I've been watching I've watched the trial every single day, and I can think of a few times when he wasn't doing all that business, and it was during the hearing in camera with without the jury, with the lawyers and Jeannie and everybody from his firm. He wasn't rocking or shaking or doing any of that stuff. He was sitting rather still, upright, and his eyes were boring holes into Jeannie Seconder for sure. And even in front of the jury, there were when his former law partners, Jeannie Seconder again, took the stand. He wasn't doing all that business. I don't know. I don't know why he does it, and I'm not even gonna even try to guess. I just noticed that he is selective in his rocking, as it were. And then hold on, I wanted to see this other thing. I wanted to.
I think for me, what I see, I think the more stressful the situation, the more pronounced it is.
Yes. Like when there's something to be almost emotional about, right?
Yes.
Like the testimony from any of the people that testified about what happened at the crime scene, that would elicit emotions. But what I find interesting is you would think that your former partners, especially this is not like, they weren't just coworkers. These people were friends as well. Like they hung out together. They referred to themselves as a family. And to have your family up there and, saying, we thought we knew this guy, and you know what? We really didn't know him at all. That ought to, now I don't know if that gives you would give him the full on Dahmer rock, but at least a little.
Did you notice that he started smacking a lot on when he would be asked hard questions, especially about Paul?
Yes.
He would start. It was like instead of you know how we swallow deep when it was almost like he smacked a lot. Like,
yes, he did, like this.
yes.
Right before he'd say something about yes. And then LFT says, do y'all think he rocked, spit, etc. on the daily, especially when lying and conducting fraudulent deals? Did he display the same behaviors of paranoia then, or just since 6/7/21?
I don't think so. And here's why: because he was in control of that situation before this.
Mm-hmm.
And he doesn't have that control now. And he is at the mercy of whoever of the 150 billion people in his face now. And before he controlled everything around him. He didn't have a reason to I don't know. That's how that's what I think.
Yeah, I think you're right. I have to agree with you. Even now, he is probably, the most out of control that he has ever been. He's not even really in control of his case. He has to leave it to, because he can't practice. He can't even represent. Well, I mean, I guess he could still represent himself if he wanted to, but, he can't.
And I think that was why he was so. I mean, we're speculating that but we know that they all had a huge disagreement about him taking the stand. But I think that's part of the reason he took the stand, if not all of the reason, is that is the one way throughout this whole thing that he can regain some control of the situation.
So, okay, the money, it's not like he went to these people's homes and, strong-armed them and got the money. But the way that he stole the money, these disbursements had to be agreed upon by the client. So in some cases, there were face-to-face where he was reassuring the clients, this is in your best interest, et cetera, and they would sign. And then in other cases, he would have someone else on his behalf. He might tell them over the phone or whatever, and then, somebody else would actually, meet with the client and have them, sign off. But yeah, they had to sign off on it, except for the Satterfield boys, because the way that worked, they had a PR. And so they didn't have to be consulted or asked about anything. It all went through their PR, who, if I'm remembering correctly, was Corey Fleming, who's also a pal to Alec. And so, and they didn't even know that there had been a settlement. So, yeah. So that's, the state, I think what the state really wanted the jury to see is how indifferent he actually was. He doesn't remember these people. He actually doesn't. He doesn't remember. I mean, I'm sure it'd be hard for him to forget the Satterfields because obviously, but everybody else that he took from, he actually doesn't remember. And he actually doesn't, I don't think, have any real remorse for what he did. I think he is saying what he needs to say, but I feel like it's not genuine remorse. I mean, the fact of the matter is he's been sitting in jail every day since September something of 2021. And he's known about the financial stuff, so he's getting discovery in both of the cases, awaiting this trial, which didn't even start until end of January of 2023. He's had plenty of time, and he has nothing but time to familiarize himself with the discovery in both cases. And the fact that he doesn't even know some of these people's names, that's really what the state was going for. That was the purpose of that. They didn't need to do it for as long as they did. I think that it was overdone, but that was the purpose.
I do too. I mean, he browbeat him and
almost made him a victim. Almost.
Yeah.
Almost.
No, right this, but he's playing his body was telling him each other body. That's what we're seeing there. All these little things. If you don't want to like you do now, adds more qualifiers to my answer. So I think they know pretty much. And again, if you'll keep an eye on that the woman in the back, that police officer in the back, watch her throughout this. Now that I know this other guy isn't a cop, or I'm under the impression, boy, she just really starts going against this guy. She starts scooching away. I want to look at her from the beginning then to the end to see how far away she scooched away. And now that we know that, but I think she's uncomfortable with him. Not horribly uncomfortable, but he keeps eyeing her notes and seeing what she's writing down. But he probably believes this guy. You know, he probably believes Alex. So anyway, that's all I got. We good?
Yeah.
The eyewitness is you.
This one's hard, but when you first saw Paul, you said you tried to flip him over. Was he laying on his back or on his stomach?
Just like he is.
Just like he is. So you weren't able to move him. Okay.
No, ma'am.
Okay. And did he help Maggie a lot out here with the animals?
He helped everybody with everything.
Okay, so it was kind of routine for him to be out here as well in the evening?
This place is his absolute passion.
Okay.
I tried to turn him, and then I checked him, and I think I already knew, but I checked him.
And when
his literal brain is laying there, but you think you already knew.
Right. And see, I think people frequently, excuse me, hold on. I think people miss sometimes the point with the pulse situation is missed. Even if your body, because this does happen, your brain has a wonderful, wonderful way of protecting you from trauma. And even if it wouldn't allow you to see everything all at once, okay, but you lean down there and you have admitted to how, I don't care how you put it, at the end of the day, what you did was move a body. And that's the truth. You moved Paul. He is, you maybe you moved him back into the original position, but you admitted that you moved him. And it was a very gory scene. And the fact that you don't have any blood on you, that's problematic. I would expect to see it. But even if he washed his hands, okay, I can get past the hands. Hands are easy to clean. What I can't get past is accident in your, what's the word I'm looking for? You're rushing to the the person that you love the most in this world, which is your child.
Right.
I hardly think that you're thinking, oh shit, this is a crime scene. I better dodge the blood pools. Because from what I understand, it's be fairly difficult to do such. The fact that he didn't have any on him anywhere. So that's where it is problematic for me. I don't expect for him to be to have to look like, Carrie in the prom scene, for Pete's sake. But I spill, I mean, like, I'm clumsy and stain shit unintentionally when I'm trying to avoid staining things. Like, if I'm trying to avoid spilling,
That's when you get the
I'll spill.
most. Yeah.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
there's no, like, I find that that's problematic for me.
Direction where all our police cars are? Or
I went to the house
okay.
and then I came from the house
This way.
straight here. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I mean, where my vehicle was parked is probably
is where it was. Okay.
Well, no, maybe not exactly, but it was pretty close because I came back the same route
That's right, because you went back to your shotgun.
when I came back.
So, this point, Mark, what do you think we've been seeing?
That's what
Yeah,
I
I've never
think,
seen
Corky.
anybody so cool in this situation. I think I don't know where we are in the case right now on this in court, but I'm going to assume that something is going to come up around the journey to the house. The shotgun is clearly important within this. I'm going to research a little bit more on this extraordinary situation of the high school kid and the Navy SEALs and the Black Panthers. It's exciting.
Well, this far is a video I know fact that I'm going to be using for training. And I'm no expert on the case or forensics or any of the facts of the case. I'm a behavior expert. And I think that we're going to see this play out in court, much like it did here in the bar with the officers.
You better believe they'll they'll revisit this.
Where the tells are going to be very similar, the line going to be very similar, and I think the tells are going to repeat themselves in court. I don't think he's been on the stand yet. I don't know much about the case. Greg has given me most of my education about this case, which is very little. Yeah, but it seems like maybe some stress in his life caused some sort of psychotic break of some sort that made this happen, but I don't know. Greg?
Yeah, I don't know what's causing it. I don't know any of that. Let me tell you, when we talk about baseline, we're talking about normal at the moment. You need only to watch these videos to see great examples. The one, if you go back,
Not
where he
normal
said
all the
wonderful
days,
2 different
normal at
ways
the
is a
moment.
great
Okay,
indicator
that makes sense.
why body language matters. But more importantly, if you listen to everything he says throughout this, you'll hear him with a lot of detail about insignificant events, nothing when it matters. And what he did today, boom, he goes to the phone. He's trying to make it.
No, you don't think so?
However, if you ask him a question about what's the sale at the Dollar General, guarantee you he knows. He'll give you all the details about that. That is disturbing alone. So too much detail when it doesn't matter, not when it does. And
I don't know. I kind of think Alec might have snitched
red
by
flags,
now, to be fair.
every comes to why did you come out here today? Did you have a shotgun? Are there guns out here? All those pertinent areas, we see massive shifts in body language. We see that butterfly. We see tapping feet. We see touching face. We see shrinking.
That's okay.
You name it. This is almost like we have a glossary and we're saying, hey, would you do this for us? And he's a train chimp. Scott, what do you got? What did you see?
I think this is a great example so far of not seeing things. We're trying to show you what to look for, but at the same time, this is a great example of the things that just in other words, you're looking for things you're not seeing. So we're not seeing the emotion we should be seeing. We're not seeing the proper rocking we should be seeing, with the hands ring and the crying and things.
Excuse me, Scott. Pardon me for just a second. So, Anna, do you think that it's odd, maybe not on his clothing, but on his shoes, like from running up to Paul and Maggie? I mean, he adjusted them. I don't know. I would think that I just think that there should be I don't think he should be covered in it, but just something. I don't know. All right, pardon me, Scott. That was so
Those
rude to
things are
interrupt.
missing.
My bad.
Fellas, I think this is another good one, and we'll see you next time.
Hey.
I don't think so. Yeah.
Oh, shit.
See it. Sorry.
So I cannot wait until they
time.
revisit this with him on the stand.
It all out.
Are you having problems over there, my friend?
I am. I don't know what the hell is happening, but it's. Did you hear me? All right, so
I've sensed your frustration.
Yes, there is a disturbance in the force. I
can't wait until they go back to his testimony and do that, because that is going to be, I think that's going to be wonderful. I can't wait to hear that.
Me too, because I mean, I don't know how they're gonna possibly. I'm curious. I want to know what they. I want to know what they think, right? But because there's so much of it, I'm so curious how they're gonna condense it and which parts they're gonna pick to actually highlight and show. I can't wait. I cannot wait.
I can't either, because I want to know if what we're wrong about and what we've been right about. You know, I mean, of course, it's all. We all have our own opinions, and I don't know. Somebody up. Let me scroll up and see.
Did I say this already last night? I wonder. I wish that one of the attorneys, whether it be I doubt the state would, or the defense would have asked this, but why didn't the state? I wish they would have asked him what he thought about learning that Maggie didn't have her wedding ring on.
Yeah,
Just
you mentioned
to get
that.
a reaction. I just want to see his reaction. I don't actually care what his answer is. I just want to see his reaction. Because nobody's asked him about that.
I keep seeing people speaking about that. That would be interesting. But I must have missed this in the testimony because I keep seeing people bring it up, that he slipped up and said, when Maggie asked me to leave. I
did not catch that either, but a lot of people did hear it. So now I've got to go back and find that part.
Yeah. I would like to hear him say it to have my own personal read on it, because if that would be, if he did slip and say that, and it was not just an actual mistake, that would be pretty telling to me.
I'd like to go back and hear it. So now we have the mark. It's about 2.5 hours into his cross. Okay, so that must be then day 2, not the original day, because not Thursday's cross-examination, because they started with financial stuff on Thursday. So yeah. Okay. Oh, thank you, Chris. I appreciate that. I'm really, really, I want to hear what he said. And I think it's important to hear the whole thing, like the question,
right,
the answer,
whole context,
the slip,
of it.
and then the recovery, because sometimes you can tell by the recovery whether it was, oh shit, I fucked up, or
how long is he supposed to? When do we expect him to be done tomorrow? Before lunch, and then they'll start on the.
Oh no, babe. They ended he's off the stand now. He's done. His testimony ended Friday.
He goes back on the stand in the morning.
Are you sure?
Uh-huh.
I could have. Is it for redirect or recross? It has to be for recross because I remember Jim coming up there for redirect.
They're saying he's done. I thought he goes back on the stand in the morning.
No, I don't. I think he is done. Let me go look. Because I could have sworn, yeah, because I remember at the end of the day, he said that he was going to he had like 2 witnesses to come up and that they were really going to try to work on, I guess, jury instructions and that kind of stuff. So I think he is done. Hold on, let me. Yeah, criminality says he's done. Yeah, because they've got the 2 pathologists coming up, and you know, he said they wouldn't be. Remember, because I told you he wasn't all that jazzed in front of the public about who his witnesses are, and I was like, if it had been me with that freaking buildup, I would have been like, "F you, Poot. I'm not showing. I'm going home."
Okay, I thought he went. Okay, I guess I'm
Now,
behind.
I will say this. I'm very, very curious if Randy Murdoch gets called. Because if I remember correctly, he was on the list for both. And, you know, the state has a rebuttal. The defense doesn't. But, so I'm hearing a couple of different things about the new charges from Friday. So one thing that I had heard is that it is related to contraband, that because his sister gave him a book. But I also had heard that SLED charged him with lying after he took the stand on Friday and admitted that he lied to investigators. They done charged him with that shit too. SLED is petty as fuck.
Yeah, I heard that too. I heard that too.
That's pretty freaking petty. Like, listen, I love a good petty. Okay, but geez, Lou, that's a lot. that's a petty on a level I am not sure.
I mean, why
can
even
get
waste
behind.
the time? Yeah, I mean, why even
Right.
waste the time with that?
Right. Well, I mean, shit, with Casey Anthony, it ended up that she had to do a few extra days due to her obstruction of justice charge that they did actually find her guilty of, but the rest of then she got out. So now, so yes, it's confirmed contraband for the book. I have to look it up too. Not that I don't trust you guys, but well, this is I don't see. Everybody is blaming SLED, okay, but SLED is a helper agency. They would not be called unless they were invited.
Look at Lolo's comment. That's
What'd she
hilarious.
They sure are. They're really throwing the book at him. They help. So they have to be invited. So when they came, when Colleton County Sheriff's Department got to the scene, they were the people in charge. They are the people that allowed the contact list from Alec Murdaugh's phone to roll up and stay there. And then by that point, I mean, the bell was rung. The crime scene was compromised. Now, I would have shut everybody out. Like I wouldn't have cared. If I was SLED, I would have rolled up in there like I roll up anywhere I go. And I would have just started handing out orders. No, for reals though, but I would have. I'd have been like, no. This ain't a sip and see. This ain't a watch party. We ain't
You killed me with the sip and see.
Y'all got to get the hell out. You know, so it's problematic, and they did it, and they treated him they gave Alec Murdoch preferential treatment, and it was to the detriment of their case.
Yep.
That's sad.
Yep.
It really is.
How long do you think the jury will deliberate?
Okay, so I was Teresa asked me this Friday night. So this is what I have. I need a little more time because I need to see what the jury instructions are. Because the more complicated the jury instructions are, especially if they have to find several things or if there's special circumstances, et cetera, then that typically, especially in a case like this, will make the deliberations a little bit longer. And given the fact that they were not allowed to take notes, I would imagine there's no way that they could possibly have a instant recall of all the things that were said, right? So I would imagine they're going to have some where's it at? And I'll play it, Chris. I would imagine they get the case maybe late Thursday or Friday, start of the day Friday. They'll be, I think Monday or Tuesday. That's what I think.
Really? You think it'll be
I
that
think
long?
about 3 days. Yeah. Because they only deliberate for 8 hours each day.
Right.
Which is a long time, but there was a lot of evidence for. All right, let me see what Chris said. Let me find it. Thank you so much for going back and finding that, Chris. I appreciate that so much.
What are we finding?
The part of the testimony where he said, she
the
asked
slip
me
up?
to leave.
Yeah. Okay.
Really? 55 weeks. Wow. That's a long time.
That's
a year. Isn't there 52 weeks in a year?
Uh-huh.
Look at me mathing.
Yeah, look at you mathing.
Let me see if I can find. I don't think Chris posted it yet. I'm so glad you found it, Chris. If you could just give it to me, I would appreciate it. Tell me.
He's not going to be able to put it in there, though, because...
Well, he didn't have to give me the link. All he's got to do is just tell me which day and just give me the timestamp. I'll find it. I don't think he's gonna no. Yeah, I agree. Like this is look what Ellie wrote. Ellie wrote, I heard if Alec is acquitted, then they will plead with the financial crimes, and there is a great chance he will only serve 15 years on them. I hope not.
I told you I don't think he'll do.
You don't think so?
I don't. I don't know that he would do that much. I don't even, after he has admitted so much on the stand last week, I don't know how they're even going to go. I mean, what would be the point of going forward in a trial on that? Why would he not settle that?
I don't know, because maybe this is his way of getting it over with without actually having to be the person that asks for the plea. You know what I mean? Because if the defense goes to the state and says, what kind of plea deal can we work out, then that means the state has the upper hand. But if Alec is over here just admitting to shit left and right, and there's no real need for there to be a financial, unless
I hope that's not the case.
unless the victims, like the Satterfield boys and others, want to hear him admit every single thing that he did. So in that scenario, there might be a plea or, a settlement worked out, which would really be a plea, but they might require Alec to get up there and take the stand. and lay it all out, everything that he did.
There's the timestamp.
2:37:50. All right. Please to hold, my friends. I'll find it. All right, 2:37:50. Thank you so much, Chris. You're a lifesaver. You are tonight's live's good noodle. Like SpongeBob. All right, here we go. Y'all, Law and Crime has this video up about, it's, their jail series, and it's about some drunk woman, but the way they have her picture, like it's clearly from some type of like closed circuit TV or whatever from inside of the jail, and the pause that they have on her is hilarious. And also,
I think they do that shit on purpose sometimes.
Oh hell yeah, but it's funny as hell.
It is funny.
What the frack? Let me see if I can find it this way. Law and Crime, they need to make their thing more easy to navigate. It's difficult to.
Alexander says, when he was on the stand admitting to all the financial crimes, I immediately thought he's already calculating a deal. That's where I'm at with it, because I just don't see a point in even going forward with the trial, because he didn't just say it one time. He said it 872 times.
Yes.
I mean,
well, yeah, I think you lowballed it. I think it's more like 11 billion, but what do I know?
Oh my gosh. It was to
said
the
it
point.
A ton.
Yeah, it was.
I was annoyed.
I was too. I was like, dude, they heard you. We know.
We know he is a lying liar face who tells lies, and he steals. He stole.
And he did them wrong. And
yes.
Yeah, it was just like his whole exchange with Waters over that was just like, I was ready to throw shit.
It was extra and really for like no reason.
Yeah.
But maybe if Alec, maybe it's possible, and I have to entertain this. What if, on behalf of the state, if Alec was doing it because he's testifying for, an appeal, a potential, or a plea, then maybe Waters was doing that to get him to admit to everything. Who knows?
Who knows?
They play too damn much. All right, hold on. Let me just go to the library because I can't find it on Law and Crime this way. Sorry, you guys. Normally I'm very good at this, but for whatever reason,
you're having technical difficulties.
I'm having all kinds of difficulties tonight. My life is a technical difficulty today for some reason. You know how long it took me to make that? I could not make a thumbnable that I liked. I redid it and redid it and redid it and redid it. And
well, that one's badass. I like that one.
Thank you. It took me forever. I just could not. I'm very out of sorts today for whatever. I don't know.
You've not got rested up from all the work you've done.
I guess not. I guess not.
Lawyering and judging for.
And breeding people for filth.
What are we going to do, Jen, when it's over? What are we going to do then?
Well, let's see. There's a ton of trials coming up.
Yeah, there are.
Sarah Boone is coming. Who else? Now, Taylor Shabiznes, no, because she done attacked her attorney, and her attorney said, okay, no, I don't think I want to be working with you anymore. So he asked to be, bless his heart, he asked to be replaced. And the whole deal was, the reason I guess she attacked him in the first place is because it was their request. It was the defense's request to postpone the trial a little bit. And after the judge agreed to postpone the trial, she just went ham and attacked his ass. And so now who knows? Because now she's got to get another attorney. And I can tell you, I highly doubt that there's attorneys just lining up to take her case after she acted like that in court.
Do we know yet if the Vallow Daybell case is going to be, is it going to be
Okay.
televised?
Yes. Yes. What did he say? 247? 50? Is that what it was?
Let me move it on up and see. 237.50.
Of course I did. All right. So 3rd, I think it was, of February. I just watched it. And an interesting hearing to watch, but the judge has not
that
yet.
you and Paul.
Hold on a second. The judge has to decide, because the problem is it's actually not on the state. It's kind of on really both sides. There's some DNA situation, and now that, the state has offered that it's not going to be able to be tested at the crime lab. So the state has offered to find a private lab to do it. But the defense for Chad is arguing, well, I need to have much more time than 21 business days, because that's how long it is from now until the trial, to look at this. And, of course, Lori Vallow has not waived her right to a speedy trial. And honestly, I have to agree with the prosecutor. I think that the defense on both sides are cahooting. And what they're trying to do is force a separation of their trials. And I don't think the judge is going to fall for it, because at the end of the day, all of this evidence, the defense for Chad has known about, it's been made available, and they were accommodated in being able to go down to where the evidence is being held to inspect it and stuff like that. So yeah, I don't think the judge is going to do the mess around with these people no more. And I do think it's going to be in April. All right, here we go.
If I said that, and daytime. All right, the hogs are deep in the daytime. So I tell you, Paul and I were not riding around looking for hogs, but what we were doing out en route, and the doing, not looking through blackout.
Paul didn't have, and he got favored with him while y'all rode the property.
The gun that's in here,
Any rifle.
there was no 300 blackout with me and Paul.
All y'all had was a 22.
And that was a 22 pistol, but we didn't have that with us at that time riding the property.
Right. And you testified, you've seen the Snapchat video of you on the tree, is that right?
I have seen that.
And you don't dispute the time of that video, do you?
I don't even know what time that was taken, but whatever the gentleman came and testified to, I don't dispute that.
All right. And what time, well, let me ask this. When were you well or were you yourself?
I went back to the house basically when Maggie got there.
When Matt got there. And where had Paul gone prior to that? Was he there or he came after?
Paul was at the shop when I went to the house.
All right. So you beat him to the house is what you're saying. Is that right?
I beat him to the house?
Yeah. You were at the house prior to him getting there.
Yes.
All right. You say Maggie was there at the same time or there before you or thereafter?
That's what I'm not absolutely certain about. I believe records.
Yes, Chris. This is the 8-hour or 45-minute.
Either way,
1 second.
I got to the house very shortly after Maggie got there.
Okay.
And I believe that I believe
Your
that I heard
audio
her
is
behind her.
really, really bad.
And I walked to Maggie that morning, so
This is so annoying. Can you share it?
Yeah,
Are
I was
you
gonna
on your
say, drop me the
computer?
link and then I'll just share it.
All right, I'll put it in the back chat. I'm sorry, you guys. I don't know what my internet is doing. It never does this. Here we go. I'm going to put it right here. All right, there you go. Sorry, y'all.
What was the timestamp again? 2:37:50.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, let me see.
This has been a real team effort, y'all. Thank you so much.
Oh, crap. I just closed it out. Give me 1 second.
We're all discombobulated.
We are. Like, what's happening tonight?
This trial brings bad jujus, I think. Probably all need to salt and sage.
Okay.
All right.
Let me see. Share screen.
Oh, thank you, Lolo. Appreciate that. You guys are also patient, even though I had a little outburst. I'm better. All right, here we go.
Ready?
Yes, ma'am.
And what time? Well, let me ask you this. When did you go back to the house? Were you with Paul or were you by yourself?
I was by myself when I went back to the house. I went back to the house basically when Maggie got there.
When Maggie got there. All right. And where had Paul gone prior to that? Was he back at the house already or he came after you?
Paul was at the shop when I went back to the house.
All right. So you beat him to the house is what you're saying. Is that right?
Beat him to the house?
Yeah. You were at the house prior to him getting there.
Yes.
All right. And you say Maggie was there at the same time or there before you or there after you?
That's what I'm not absolutely certain about. I believe that Maggie came through the kennel entrance, and going back and looking at these records and these times, I believe she came through the kennel entrance while Paul and I were at the shop.
Mm-hmm.
But either way, I got to the house very shortly after Maggie got there.
Okay.
And I believe that she came through, and I believe that I went right behind her.
We've passed 2:37:50. I didn't hear it. Did you hear it?
No, and Folly Beach USA says I think it is 2:47.
2:47.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I love this song. I was singing along.
You remember a lot of detail about all these new facts, but you don't remember what you talked about?
Here it is.
I don't remember the exact details of what we talked about. I believe that at that time, we may have talked about Paw, but I'm not certain.
Were you withdrawing at this time?
At this time, no, sir.
You weren't withdrawing at all.
No. I mean, I would only withdraw when I didn't have pills.
And you're saying you had pills?
Yes.
Down there for a couple minutes, I think you've said now, before you get off the golf cart?
About, yes, sir.
All right. And where do you go at that point?
I take the chicken from Bubba.
All right. So you get up?
Well, I mean, Bubba's come out there with this chicken. I mean, he's showing us, hey, I caught this chicken. And I take the chicken from Bubba.
Bubba came up to the golf cart?
He came up by the golf cart. He came up to Maggie and I, which I was on the golf cart. She's by the golf cart. I mean, he's not coming to the golf cart, but he's coming to us.
Is this during the kennel video or is this after the kennel video?
Well, no, you hear Maggie say he's got a chicken. Okay. That's what she's talking about is Bubba caught a chicken.
All right. All right. So is the kennel video still going on before you go get the chicken? I mean, you've heard it, correct? You've heard it in this courtroom.
I don't know exactly. I don't know exactly, but in close timing to Bubba coming out of those woods.
We're at 2:49:02.
Keep playing it.
The chicken. I got up and took the chicken from him.
Okay. Let me ask you this. Were the dogs barking and carrying on or going out into the woods or acting like they sensed somebody was around that they didn't know?
Were the dogs acting like there was somebody around that they didn't know?
Yeah, like dogs do.
No.
No, they weren't.
There was nobody around that the dogs didn't know.
Okay. Dogs didn't, to your indication, sense anything out of the ordinary. They were just chasing after the guinea.
There was nobody else around.
All right. Good.
For them to sense.
You've heard the kennel video. Would you agree with me that it lasts for about 50 seconds?
I agree with that.
So it would have ended around 8:45 and 45 seconds. Would you agree with that?
I do agree with that.
Did you have the chicken out of Bubba's mouth at the end of the kennel video, or did it take longer than that?
You know, I can't remember exactly when in the video he came up with the chicken, but I would have had the chicken out of his mouth within 10, 15 seconds of Maggie saying he's got a chicken.
All right. And so then what did you do?
I put the chicken up.
All right. How long did that take? Did you get out of the golf cart to do that?
I did.
All right. And you had to go walk to where it was?
Well, yeah. I mean, a few feet, but I did that, yes.
All right. So how long did that take? I mean, we're at 8:46 now. How long did that take?
Seconds.
Just seconds? All right. And what did you do after that?
Got back on the golf cart.
Mm-hmm. And what'd you do after that?
I left.
You left.
Now,
Just jumped on the golf cart and left.
Well, that's what I was getting ready to say. Did I get on the golf cart and leave that second? Probably not. But did I get on the golf cart and leave very quickly after that? I did.
Okay. Yeah. I think you testified yesterday. I got out of there.
I did.
Why'd you get out of there so quick, Mr. Murdoch?
Because it was chaotic. It was hot. And I was getting ready to do exactly what I didn't want to do.
Sweat.
Yep.
You're getting ready to do what you
He's
didn't want to do.
been about
That's
sweating.
correct.
Yeah.
I
was
hate
getting ready to
sweating.
sweat.
I
was
don't
getting
like
ready to
sweat
work.
and sweat.
I went
Two
back to the
things.
air conditioner.
So did you say goodbye, according to your new story?
Did I say goodbye?
Yeah. Did you talk to them at all, or did you just get the chicken, put it on there, jump on there, and just take off?
I wouldn't have just gone off. I mean, I would have said, I'm leaving.
Okay.
Did I say goodbye or bye?
And again, go ahead.
I mean, there would have been some, there would have been some exchange. I'm not staying here.
Well, what was that exchange? I mean, you've had such a photographic memory about these news stories. What happened here?
It's not. I can't tell you the exact words.
You don't remember your conversation after you put that chicken up? Did y'all talk about the chicken?
No, I don't think we did.
Did you talk with Paul about Cash's tail?
After the chicken?
Yeah.
No, I know I didn't do that.
Did you tell Maggie I'm going to go check on him?
At that point, no, I don't.
Did you tell Maggie, it's hot out here, think I'll go back?
I certainly would have said something to that effect.
All right. So, unlike everything else with the new story, you just can't recall what that would have been.
Well, I mean, you're making that categorization. I think there's other things about that I can't remember. But if the question is, can I remember exactly what words I used when I gave Maggie some salutation when I'm leaving? I can't tell you what those were.
All right.
But it would have been something to the effect of, I'm leaving.
All right. Okay. But you would concede that there was at least some conversation, that you wouldn't have just put the chicken on there and ran back to the golf cart and taken off. Correct?
Without talking to Maggie, I would have never done that.
All right. All right. So let's, you want to say a minute? Does that sound about right?
A minute for what?
To have just whatever interaction it took for you to then, according to your new story, drop back to.
No, sir. It wouldn't have taken me a minute. It would
Not
have
a minute.
been, it would have been, I'm leaving. I'll see you in a minute.
Okay. So 30 seconds?
I don't think it would have taken 30 seconds, but I mean, I'm fine with you using whatever time you want to apply, but I don't think
I'm
it
just
would have
asking
taken that
about
long.
real life here and how people interact with one another, Mr. Murdoch. I mean, so what you're telling this jury, I call you're fuzzy on these kind of details, is that you jetted down there, you dealt with the chicken and jetted right back.
No, sir. No, sir. I didn't jet down there and I didn't jet back. I got up after Maggie asked me to leave, after
There it
Maggie
is.
asked me to go with her, and I didn't. I got up.
There it
I heard
is.
it. I heard it. You want to go back again?
No, I mean, everybody hear it. You heard
Yeah, I
it.
heard
right?
it. I did hear it.
After Maggie asked me to leave.
Uh-huh.
After Maggie asked me to leave. And still running that poor sweet Bubba's name just directly through the dirt.
Poor Bubba.
Now listen, I don't know if you pulled that trigger, but you damn sure are guilty of besmirching that wonderful creature's name. You jerk.
Poor
Hey,
Bubba's
Flo.
called hell through this.
He sure has. Thank you so much, sweetie. That was really sweet of you. I appreciate that. Thank you.
I wonder why we're not hearing much about him saying that, though. Or I haven't heard anything until
No.
here,
No, because Mr. Waters wants him to run down the list of people
Yeah.
he screwed over.
That's gonna if he gets off, that's gonna be the state's gonna be mad as hell at him because he cost them this case if that happens because of his insistence to focus on that shit.
That Lordy be. That was a mistake. Wow. Maggie asked me to leave. Maybe he was pilled out and she's like, bro, get the fuck out of here. You know?
Lolo said he wanted his pills back and she told him to leave. That could be. But not good. The boat case goes away as a motive. That's not, the boat case would never go away. With them dead, it still doesn't go away. That was Alex's boat. At the time, how old was Paul at that time? Was he yet 18?
Oh, yeah, he was over 18. He was an adult. But here's the thing. This is what Mark Tinsley said. That it would, he himself would have dropped Alec from the lawsuit if it had been that he had been the victim of some vigilante justice related to the boat.
Who said that?
Mark Tinsley, when he testified in front of the judge, and I cannot remember if he repeated that in front of the jury. But what he said was that he would drop, if he had found out that Paul and Maggie their murders were the result of some type of vigilante justice related to the boat case, he would have dropped Alec from the lawsuit. He had plenty of other defendants that he could have gone after, because juries don't like to give money, to take money from people who are sympathetic people. And if Alec Murdoch had been a victim of vigilante justice related to this crime, rather than being the big bad wolf, he would have been the sweet grandmother. And that he likely wouldn't have been able, a jury might not have awarded him money, because maybe they might feel, well, I mean, Paul's dead, you know, haven't you paid enough? But there were other people related to this case that were listed in the lawsuit who he could have still gone after, that would not have been sympathetic victims, like, you know, or sympathetic defendants, like Parker's, which was the liquor store. And he was looking at going at some of the parents that were at that oyster fry or whatever. Teresa just sent me a screenshot, and it's from Special Agent. Why is it so blurry? It's real. Anyway, from SLED's extraction of the phone. At 12:18:40 p.m., Alex Murdaugh messages Paul Murdaugh, stating, "Call me when you have better service." And that is from Alec Murdaugh. It's from Alec Murdaugh's extraction from his phone, but it does not show on Paul Murdaugh's extraction of his phone. And that was at 12:18 and 40 seconds. So I guess he had him saved in the phone as Paul was the point of the.
Right.
Yeah. I don't think he could have sued his insurance, Shay, because he didn't have insurance. And well, he had insurance, but the insurance that he had a very strict and specific watercraft clause, which they were on a boat. And also it was more to do with like if he had used Moselle as like if he had rented it out to like a company for a hunting retreat, then but it excluded the boat. So yeah, he wouldn't know. He would have just taken the $500,000 that I think Progressive, he was underinsured and then not, you know, so I think there was some, because he was going to take, because the initial offer was the $500,000. So he would have, from Paul, or from Alec, he would have taken that $500,000, or maybe seen if he could, you know, or pushed for Alec to come up with the $1 million like he said he could, and then that would have been that. He would have settled with Alec.
I agree with you, Corgis. If it's a hung jury, it's because Waters beat the financial dead horse to death.
It will be.
I believe that's where we're at right now. I think I was listening earlier though to some analysts talk about it, and they think that Alex hung himself with his testimony, but I don't know. I just feel like Waters beat that financial dead horse to death.
That might be how. I would be interested in if the jury agrees with us. I will be very, very. I think maybe maybe hearing and seeing things in person gives you a different perspective than watching it like from a stream. So right. Maybe I know criminality. The irony is Alex said he was broke and Tinsley didn't believe him. Which, I mean, I don't blame Tinsley for not believing him, but it's very possible that they could see something in Alec being there during his testimony that we didn't see. You know what I mean? And that maybe it could swing both ways. They could have seen something we didn't see, and it pushes them to find him not guilty. They could have seen something we didn't see, and it pushes them to find him guilty. Who knows? Or not guilty, whichever one I said the opposite of. I hope when they do their closing argument, I think hopefully they can streamline it and tie it up and connect all the dots in a much more cohesive way for the jury and leave barely mention the financial shit. They're aware, Waters. They're aware. He's admitted to it. What you should be doing is hammering home that he lied in the investigation into his shooting, which means that he lies when it comes to criminal investigations, when it suits him. That's what you need to be focused on, and his timeline and all his little inconsistencies. Ding dong. You jackass.
So you think it'll go to the jury Wednesday?
Oh no, I think it'll go to the jury Friday, and I think we'll have a verdict by Monday or maybe Monday or Tuesday, maybe Wednesday. I'll know for sure. I'll know better. I'll have a better idea when I hear those jury instructions.
What do we have? Two experts, and what do we have left?
I think all the Poot said was 2 experts, but they're no big deal. Yeah. Okay. Like what he basically is like, no, y'all people that are watching at home, don't even bother. This isn't gonna be shit. It's not important. It's not. It's no biggie.
You're gonna miss the Poot.
I know. What am I gonna do?
Yeah, you're gonna miss him.
I guess what I'll have to do then is watch all the trial again and make a montage.
F
An ode to the Poot.
Teresa said that he said 4 witnesses and 2 experts.
All right, then there you go.
Okay. Well,
all right. Well, thank you for coming up tonight, babe. This was fun. We have got to do this more.
Yes, this was fun. I enjoyed going through that, even though we have the couple of little
outbursts from yours truly. I know.
No. The couple of that came in last night and came in tonight and, says we're idiots for having an opinion, I guess.
Yeah, I'm a lot of things, but an idiot is not one of them.
Same. I enjoy it.
Oh, Marshmallow really loves me. He wrote it, or he or she wrote in all caps, your channel is garbage. Well, thanks, Marshmallow. I mean, what do you want me? You think I'm going to cry because you write?
Is this not the same one that keeps coming in here to say stuff like that?
Yeah, yeah. This is one that goes around all over. Well, you're welcome to your opinion.
But yeah, I love this. I think this. Are you gonna do a jury watch or anything like that?
I'll do a verdict watch. I'm probably
That's
not
what I
going to
meant.
stream.
Shit, a jury watch, a verdict watch.
I meant, babe. I'm not going to stream in the morning. I need, I'll
you need some rest.
I will. I'll do a recap in the morning. Or in the morning. Fucking hell. I don't even know what I'm doing. I shouldn't be doing shit, really, if you want to know the truth. I'll do a recap tomorrow night. And then it will be on Verdict Watch.
Yeah. I don't know if I'm ready for it. I don't know.
Me either. I don't know. We're going to find. Look, at the end of the day, the jury is going to do what the jury is going to do. And we'll just have to deal with it.
Yeah, that's it. What can we do?
Not shit. I better end this. I'm tired. It's almost midnight here.
I am too. I was just thinking, I'm ready to go lay it down, I think.
Me too.
But I enjoyed this so much, and I enjoyed
Me
it last night.
too.
And we will definitely keep this going. Maybe we can get Teresa up here one night, and everybody else that is
one more big collab of everybody that covered the case. Yeah, that's what we should do.
LFT and Tia and everybody that's as attentive to this as we've been.
Yes,
fun.
Absolutely. I would love it.
But thank you for having me. I enjoyed it. I'll come back anytime you feel like doing this. I'm up for it. Same on my channel.
Thank you. What you doing next? What's next for you, babe?
I don't know. I don't know. I want to be as focused in on whatever it is as I have been on this. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yes.
And I don't know, some of y'all, y'all just really impress me with the way that y'all can juggle, 3 or 4 going at one time. There's no way in hell I can't. Like, when I get lasered in on something, my attention won't. I can't put it onto another one at the same time.
I can't. I mean, I'm an all-in kind of person. And I mean, like, I could cover this trial and maybe like do some updates if there had been any, like in the Idaho 4 case or something, or another case, but I could not cover in depth.
Right, that's what I was going to say. Like, I could swing with some updates and things like that, but I couldn't dive into 2 at one time.
Well, it's I think I can't. If I spread myself too thin, then I get frustrated and I don't do a good job, I think.
Right.
So I think it's better, not that I'm doing the best job here, but I think it's better if I just focus on one thing at a time.
That's me. Yeah. Yeah. All right, chat. Thank you all for having me tonight. And I will see you
are
all
always
soon.
welcome. I'm so glad you decided to do true crime. I really am, because you have an attention to detail that is required for true crime. It's an asset in true crime.
Well, sometimes I feel like, especially with this one, I felt scattered because there's so much. Like Alex his foolishness is serious.
It is foolish. He's foolish. He's full of shit. Look, you cut that fool open. He's full of tic tacs, foolishness, and lies.
Yes, Alabama girl, that's me. Do you see that, Jen?
Oh, yes. That'd be the one.
Okay, y'all. I'm going to call it a night and prepare for tomorrow's foolishness.
Yes. Tomorrow's a new day with new foolishness. We'll see. Yep. Bye.
Good night, everybody. Thank you for having me, Jen.
You're welcome, babe. Anytime.
All right. See y'all later.
All right.
Good night.
Bye. Good night. All right, you guys. That's it. Your girl is out. I'm tired. This was a great live. Thanks, everybody, for being here. I appreciate it tremendously. Thank you for the super chats. Welcome to the new members. Thank you for the thumbs up. Just thank you for the great chat. I'm sorry I snapped a little bit. I'll get better. I will see you all tomorrow night at 9 Eastern to see what took place in the courtroom Monday morning. All right. You guys have a great rest of your Sunday, whatever is left of it. And I will talk to y'all tomorrow. Good night.